Ruby Kumari Thakur of Some Sanskriti Party, elected as Deputy Speaker, receives backing from Congress, UML and NCP along with RSP. President Paudel calls for people-centric governance in Nepal, highlights youth support for federal system. Nepal's Health Ministry directs hospitals to operate OPDs on Sundays to ensure uninterrupted healthcare services. Asian Development Bank projects Nepal's economic growth to be slow in 2026, projects falls below government's target. Islamabad on high alert ahead of US-Iran talks, Iran participation uncertain amid Israel-Lebanon ceasefire tensions. And Bagmati province registers win today in Prime Minister Cup cricket, beats Madhya province by 35 runs. Hello there, I'm Diksha Awasthi and this is NTV World Primetime News. We are coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo, and just after midnight in Sydney. The details now. The election for the Deputy Speaker of Nepal's House of Representatives has concluded, with Ruby Kumari Thakur elected to the post. Thakur of the Some Sanskriti Party secured 267 votes, backed by the Nepali Congress, CPN UML, NCP and the Rashtriya Swatantra Party. Her rival, Saraswati Lama of the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, received a total of five votes. The election followed earlier consensus on the speakership, with Dol Prasad Aryal already elected unopposed. Nepal's constitution requires the speaker and deputy speaker to represent different parties and genders to ensure balance in parliamentary leadership. President Ramchandra Paudel has called for people-centered governance, urging citizens to feel that the government is accessible at their doorsteps. While addressing a joint session of Nepal's federal parliament, speaking at the first session of the newly elected House of Representatives held after the Fagun 21 elections, President Paudel said that citizens expect transparent governance, effective service delivery, and an end to corruption and impunity.
युवा वर्गको प्रतिनिधित्व सहितको प्रतिनिधि सभा गठन भई नयाँ सरकारले कार्य प्रारम्भ गरिसकेको छ.
The head of the state added that Parliament should prioritize citizen-focused laws, thanked institutions for conducting successful elections, and confirmed that the current parliamentary session has been concluded on government recommendation. President Ramchandra Paudel has formally ended the current session of Nepal's federal parliament following a recommendation from the Council of Ministers. The session will conclude at midnight in accordance with Article 93(2) of the Constitution. According to a statement issued by President spokesperson Ritesh Kumar Shakya, the parliamentary session was originally convened after the March elections to Nepal's House of Representatives, held in the capital Kathmandu. During this session, lawmakers elected a new Prime Minister and Speaker, while the Deputy Speaker is set to be chosen later today. The closing of the session marks the end of a key phase in Nepal's post-election political transition as the country continues to consolidate its federal democratic system. Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Shah has appointed 2 new cabinet ministers, expanding his government with members from the Rashtriya Swatantra Party, RSP. Gauri Kumari Yadav has been named Minister for Industry, Commerce and Supplies, while Ramji Yadav will serve as Minister for Labour, Employment and Social Security. Both ministers are sitting members of Parliament representing the Rashtriya Swatantra Party. They are scheduled to take the oath of office and secrecy later today. The ceremony will be held before Ramchandra Paudel at President official residence in Kathmandu. India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar has met with Nepal's Foreign Affairs Minister Sisir Khanal to discuss strengthening ties between the two countries. The meeting took place earlier today, focusing on expanding cooperation across sectors such as trade, connectivity and development. Minister Jaishankar congratulated Minister Khanal on his recent appointment, highlighting continued diplomatic engagement between India and Nepal. Both sides emphasized the importance of unlocking the full potential of their partnership through closer collaboration. The talks reflect ongoing efforts by the two neighbors to deepen political and economic relations in the South Asian region. Now we are going for a short break here. More news coming up. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You are with NTV World and this is the Prime Time News. Now the remaining updates. Nepal's Ministry of Health and Population has directed hospitals across the country to operate outpatient departments, that is OPDs, on Sundays to ensure uninterrupted healthcare services. The request follows the government's decision to implement 2 consecutive public holidays on Saturday and Sunday as part of a revised weekly leave system. The ministry has urged hospitals to adjust staff schedules so employees receive a weekly 2-day break while maintaining service continuity, with substitute leave where necessary. Provincial governments in all 7 provinces have also been asked to implement similar arrangements in provincial hospitals. The move aims to balance workers' rest rights with the need for continuous and effective public healthcare delivery. Nepal's economic growth is projected to slow sharply to 2.7% in 2026, down from 4.6% in 2025, according to the Asian Development Bank. The forecast falls well below the government's 6% growth target, which officials had hoped to achieve in the current fiscal year. The bank cited political instability, weak private sector investment, and external pressures such as Gulf region tensions affecting remittances and tourism. A separate assessment by the World Bank also projects even slower growth of around 2.3%. Despite the near-term slowdown, the ADBs expects growth to rebound to 5% in 2027 as conditions stabilize and sectors like hydropower and tourism recover. Nepal government has introduced monthly tax exemptions worth nearly 3 billion rupees to stabilize fuel prices, but consumers are yet to see relief as costs continue to rise. Despite the subsidies to Nepal Oil Corporation NOC, petroleum prices have increased twice in the past 2 weeks, with cooking gas also rising by 100 rupees per cylinder. The government had earlier announced a 50% cut in customs duties and infrastructure taxes on fuels, aiming to shield consumers from global price shocks. However, the move has failed to prevent inflationary pressure, with public transport fares increasing by 17% and concerns growing over the rising cost of living. Officials say the subsidies are instead helping reduce losses of the corporation, which still faces significant financial strain despite the tax relief measures. Nepal government has directed private schools to refund illegally collected fees, warning of legal action against institutions that fail to comply. However, several private educational institutions are reportedly defying the directive, despite rules that allow schools to charge fees only under 14 approved headings, including tuition, admission, examinations, transportation, and educational materials. According to the Ministry of Education guidelines, schools must also obtain approval from local authorities before setting fees, with strict limits on admission and annual charges to prevent overcharging. Parents' representatives have accused some schools of continuing irregular fee collection, while school associations argue that only a few institutions are involved and call for a more scientific fee structure. The government says it is preparing to take legal action against violators as disputes over school fees continue to surface at the start of each academic session. Farmers in Nepal's Kailali district are expressing frustration over declining wheat prices this harvest season, saying they are not receiving fair returns for their produce. Wheat is currently being sold at around Nepali rupees 3,800 per quintal, down from about Nepali rupees 4,000 last year, adding financial pressure on farming households. The situation has been worsened by reduced yields due to unseasonal rainfall during the ripening stage, compounding losses for farmers already facing low market prices. Farmers also say long-standing challenges such as shortages of quality seeds, delayed fertilizer supply, and unstable post-harvest pricing remain unresolved. They are urging the government to announce timely support prices and ensure fair compensation, along with better access to agricultural inputs to stabilize rural incomes. Meanwhile, farmers in Dhading district are facing significant challenges in vegetable farming due to widespread insect and disease infections. The problem has been reported in major farming areas such as Dhunibesi, Nilkantha and Benighat, Rorang. Although farmers were initially encouraged by good market prices for vegetables this year, their expectations have been overshadowed by increasing pest and disease attacks on their crops. What was expected to be profitable season from commercial farming for tomatoes, cucumbers and other off-season vegetables has now turned into concern and uncertainty. Farmers report that pests such as tuta and mites are spreading rapidly, beginning in the soil and gradually infecting tomato plants. According to agricultural experts, if these pests are not controlled in time, they can destroy entire harvest. Even greenhouse tunnel farming, which is usually more protected, has not been spared from the outbreak. As the infections spread, other vegetables crops are also being infected, leading to extensive damage across farming areas. In response, farmers have repeatedly requested assistance from the Agricultural Development Office in Dhading, hoping for effective measures to control the outbreak and protect their crops. Now we have updates from international arena after this short break. Security has been tightened across Islamabad as Pakistan prepares to host high-stakes peace talks between Iranian and US delegations, though Tehran's participation remains uncertain. The negotiations are expected to focus on key issues including Iran's nuclear program and trade through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has signaled it may pull out of the talks unless Israel halts ongoing strikes in Lebanon, which it says violate the current ceasefire. Despite the uncertainty, US Vice President J.D. Vance is scheduled to lead the American delegation while Pakistan continues preparations for the meeting. for which it has closed many roads in the capital on Friday, as well as declarations of a two-day public holiday. Pakistan does not formally recognize Israel, a fact that could complicate its role as mediator, and has insisted the 15-day ceasefire includes Lebanon, which Israel disputes. Both the parties are yet to arrive, so the talks remain uncertain. In the meantime, Israeli forces have intensified raids across southern Lebanon, targeting multiple towns with artillery shelling, drone strikes and gunfire. Lebanon's national news agency reported heavy bombardment in areas including Khiam and Bint Jebel, while the Lebanese Ministry of Health said the death toll from recent strikes has risen to 303, with more than 1,150 injured. Among the victims are at least 110 children, women and elderly people. According to officials, the Israeli army said Thursday it was striking Hezbollah positions in Lebanon shortly after it had warned that the militant group could expand launches of projectiles across Israel. In response, Hezbollah launched rockets toward Israel as air raid sirens sounded in northern area including Haifa, though no injuries were reported. The foreign ministers of China and North Korea agreed to deepen cooperation and exchanges during talks in Pyongyang, according to state media reports on Friday. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, on his first visit to North Korea in 7 years, held discussions with North Korean's Foreign Minister Cho Sun-hee on regional and international issues. Both sides pledged to strengthen strategic communication and expand collaboration across various sectors, including cultural and people-to-people exchanges during the two-day official visit. China's Xinhua news agency said Wang and North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Sun-hee discussed current international and regional issues at their meeting Thursday, but didn't specify what those issues were. Wang praised North Korea's progress despite what he described as external pressure from the United States and Western countries. The visit comes as the two countries resumed transport links following their suspension during the COVID-19 pandemic. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov reaffirmed Moscow's special relationship with Cuba during a visit to Havana, where he met President Miguel Diaz-Canel. Ryabkov said Russia would not abandon its presence in the Western Hemisphere, stressing strong ties with Cuba despite pressure from Washington. The talks came amid rising tensions with the United States and followed the recent arrival of the Russian oil tanker in Cuba despite U.S. fuel blockade. Discussions focused on Cuba's economic challenges, particularly its energy crisis, according to Russian state news agency TASS. The U.S. labels Cuba a threat to U.S. national security, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who is of Cuban descent, has demanded changes to the island's leadership. Cuban President Diaz-Canel rejected any suggestion of stepping down under U.S. pressure. U.S. First Lady Melania Trump has firmly denied any connections to Jeffrey Epstein, stating that the White House that such claims need to be end today. In a surprise move on Thursday, she also said for congressional hearings to support survivors of Epstein's sex trafficking network.
I never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell.
The U.S. Justice Department has released large sets of Epstein-related documents over the past year, while the president has also denied any involvement. The Epstein scandal centered on a wealthy financier accused of running a large-scale sex trafficking operation involving underage girls. Now let's take a short breather here. We shall be back with more from international updates. Welcome back. You're with NTV World Primetime News. Now, more international updates. The 4 astronauts of NASA's Artemis program are set to conclude their 10-day mission with a planned splashdown of the Orion capsule in the Pacific Ocean off San Diego, marking the end of a landmark deep space test flight. The crew, Reid Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen, conducted a historic lunar flyby, traveling farther from Earth than any human before while collecting critical data from future lunar missions. Officials say the mission is a key milestone toward NASA's goal of enabling crewed lunar landings under the Artemis program, as well as testing spacecraft systems required for deep space exploration. Recovery teams from NASA and the US military are on standby to retrieve the astronauts after splashdown, assist them out of the capsule, and transport them to a recovery ship.
The speed of sound, and then we will slow down to a 20-mile-an-hour touchdown into the Pacific. But when we touch down, the heat shield and the parachutes are going to get us nice and slow so that we touch down at about a 20-mile-an-hour splash down in the Pacific. And we can't wait to see the dive team and the Navy that are going to come and pick us up.
Sri Lanka has marked its annual rice festival with a ceremonial offering of freshly harvested grain to the Jai Sri Mahabodhi in Anuradhapura. Continuing a centuries-old agricultural and religious tradition, the event, known as Aluth Sahal Mangalaya, was organized by the Ministry of Agriculture and the Department of Agrarian Services under the guidance of senior Buddhist clergy. During the ceremony, the first portion of rice from the Maha harvest, known as Nuendul Sahal, was formally offered at the sacred site before being released for public consumption and distribution. Officials say the ritual reflects the close link between agriculture, faith, and governance in Sri Lanka, where farmers symbolically pause the cycle of trade to express gratitude for rain, land, and labor. Historically associated with state authority, the festival continues to be observed under government patronage, with participation from senior officials underscoring its enduring cultural and political significance. The International Monetary Fund Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva, has urged governments to do not harm as they face the massive economic shocks caused by the Middle East war, calling for targeted and disciplined fiscal actions. Georgieva called for targeted and disciplined fiscal responses to prevent further strain on already fragile global economies.
While this crisis is global, everybody feels it's everywhere. The low-income countries, fragile conflict-affected countries, countries with no buffers, that are oil importers, gas importers, they feel it the most. Brace for fiscal policy, restrictive, targeted, temporary actions. Make sure that you are not, basically, put it very simply, do no harm. Do no harm. A negative supply shock inevitably brings pain.
Now it's time for Sports Update. Bagmati province has defeated Madhya province by 35 runs in Nepal's Prime Minister's Cup one-day cricket tournament. Chasing a target of 209 at the Narayani cricket ground in Birgunj, Madhya were bowled out for 173 runs in 34.3 overs. Bagmati secured their 4th win of the tournament, led by an outstanding bowling performance from Pratish Jisi, who took 5 wickets. Rijan Dhakal claimed 2 wickets, while Sandeep Lamichhane and Subhas Khatri added 1 each. Earlier, Bagmati posted 208 runs before being all out, with Pawan Saraf leading the Madhya's bowling attack with 3 wickets. Before we sign out, here are the reminder of our top stories. President Paudel calls for people-centric governance in Nepal, highlights youth support for federal system. Deputy Speaker of House of Representatives to be elected today, Ruby Kumari Thakur of the Shram Sanskriti Party and Saraswati Lama of the RPP vying for the position. Nepal's Health Ministry directed hospitals to operate OPDs on Sundays to ensure uninterrupted healthcare services. Asian Development Bank projects Nepal's economic growth to be slow in 2026, projects falls below government's target. Islamabad on high alert ahead of US-Iran talks, Iran participation uncertain amid Israel-Lebanon ceasefire tensions. Bagmati province registers win today in Prime Minister Cup cricket, beats Madhya province by 35 runs. That's it for this edition of Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries.
Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
Pokhara is undoubtedly #1 destination for tourists in Nepal. The valley, blessed with natural beauty, attracts domestic and foreign tourists alike. You must have already visited Pokhara. If you haven't or planning another trip, then these are some of the must-go places in Pokhara. The first attraction in Pokhara is the Feva Lake. Boating in Feva Lake is a ritual for every tourist visiting this paradise. The Tal Barahi temple at the center of the lake adds to the beauty of the place. A round-trip boat ride in Feva Lake to and from the temple is a feature of both the lake as well as the temple. Separate boat ride, watching the reflection of Mount Machapuchre on the lake and fishing spice up the Feva experience. The lakeside along the banks of the Feva Lake is a popular tourist hub. Many tourists in Pokhara choose Devi's Fall as their second destination in Pokhara. The water from Feva Lake exits towards Seti River through the Gupteshwar cave from this Devi's Fall. The mighty water stream rushing deep down into the gorge, covered by water vapor, is a magical sight. Pokhara is known as the city of lakes and caves. Many of the lakes and caves have religious importance. This is Gupteshwar cave at Chorepatan area. Inside the cave, the idol of Lord Shiva is a well-known pilgrimage. Further inside the cave, one can see the Devi's Fall. Mahendra Cave is another famous place in Pokhara, and nearby is another well-known Chamere cave. Both the caves can be visited together. Two other well-known tourist destinations in Pokhara are Begnas and Rupa lakes. Fresh fish of Begnas Lake is a sought-after delicacy. Rupa Lake is just round the corner beyond a small hill towards the eastern edge of Begnas Lake. Away from the hustle and bustle of the town, Begnas and Rupa lakes cannot be taken out of a tourist's itinerary. This is the famous White Monastery on top of the hill above Feva Lake. This is also a popular destination for domestic as well as foreign tourists. The top-angle bird's-eye view of Pokhara city from the monastery is a sight to behold. The placid Feva Lake, the tall mountain range, and the birds like paragliding pilots on the background of Sarankot Hill are mesmerizing. The Bindabasini temple in Pokhara is a famous shrine in Nepal. The best route to visit the temple is on the way to Sarankot. Devotees throng the Bindabasini temple, which is atop a small hill with panoramic view of Pokhara city. The Bindabasini temple is famous among the Hindus across the country. Sarankot is a hill station on top of a hill on the northwestern side of Pokhara. A must-go place to see the majestic Mount Machapuchre and Mount Dhaulagiri in the Annapurna range in front of the eyes, and also the Pokhara and Leknath cities on the other side. Sarangkot is synonymous to paragliding in Nepal. Taking off from the Sarangkot hill, one can enjoy the panoramic mountain range in addition to the bird's eye view of Pokhara city. Ultralight and zip flyer offer a thrill to adventure seekers in Pokhara and are becoming major interests for tourists. Other places, including Swarak in Sangja, have the potential to be world's best place for paragliding. First time in Nepal, Paragliding Accuracy World Cup was held at this place, situated at Mahapur or Virkot municipality of the district. The place drew global attention after the event. Pokhara, famous tourism destination of the country. Majority of locals engaged in tourism industry. The city of lakes and caves, hub of aviation sports. Some major destinations: Lakeside, Feva Lake and Tal Barahi Temple, Begnas and Rupa Lakes, Mahendra Gufa,
Dancing in the beats of Khaijari, these tireless young feet will not stop until the next morning. As every dawn brings along a dusk and a hello has to end in a farewell note, it was time for us to say goodbye to Ramkot. The beat of the Madal and Khaijari constantly tried to hold us back even until we reached the faraway trails. It was hard to say goodbye when our heart wanted to stay, but then we had to move on.
The headlines in Nepal are dominated by Balendra Shah government's decisions following the dramatic rise of a new political order in Kathmandu. But the real test of Nepal's future is being written in the fields and planning rooms of our provinces. Today we go beyond the populist rhetoric to look at facts. On today's Insight, we are joined by Dr. Sohan Prasad Shah, a scholar of science policy, architect of barefoot research, and former vice chair of the Madhesh Planning Commission. As the federal government rolls out its 100-point agenda, today we're asking, can a centralized reform movement truly fix a decentralized nation? And what happens to Madhesh in this new Nepal? Dr. Shah, welcome to NTV World Insight.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
How are you viewing the current political development in the country with the formation of a new government, old guards falling down, new forces emerging?
There is an exciting time that we are in. For a few reasons that we are in exciting time. For a long time we have been thinking that youth should come to the politics, but it has not been happening. So somehow the old guards musical chair was going on, and suddenly we have an election, and after the Gen Z movement we have an election, and then probably we have the youngest cabinet ever in Nepal. And well, in Nepal previous history we have a youngest prime minister, but in a republic, after the post-republic time, we see the youngest prime minister in Nepal. So a lot of credible hopes and a lot of excitement, and we think that we aspire for the good future. So people is aspiring for the good future. But it's yet to see how the things will unfold. But so far there is a lot of enthusiasm.
Balin Shah government has laid out a 100-point agenda for reforms with a particular focus on technology and urban efficiency as well. Do you think this approach is it one-size-fits-all context when it comes to when we focus on provinces like Madhesh?
Oh yes, I did go through the 100-point agenda. Technocratically it looks very good. But how much it is feasible on the reality, it's yet to, we have to measure. For example, there is a huge promises on the tech sector. Like most of the agendas that you will see is towards a digital new evolution of the country. And digitalization is a good thing, but how we can manage, because you know we have the 3 tiers of government. So not everything is in the federal, not everything is in the province, not everything is in local government. So these databases are structured in the 3 tiers of the government. So digital evolution is a good idea, but mechanism to, we call it a social imaginaries. We have a technical imaginaries. So on a technical imaginaries, this 100-point agenda is very good, but this technical imaginaries needs to also catch up with the social imaginaries, political imaginaries, and our bureaucratic imaginaries. So these things we are yet to see that how it will unfold. But these are the good reforms, and I think if it can kick off, the country will be in a better reform process. So. Digital evolution is a very good idea, but there are some social evolution also, which I would like to point out. Like, for example, there is one agenda, particularly is a good agenda, is of apology, tendering the apology to the Dalits, and because for hundreds of years the discrimination they have faced, and Parliament is saying that we will tender an apology. This is something like what in Australia Kevin Rudd has done to the Aborigines. So they have some political imaginations also. They have huge technical imagination, but this technical imagination needs to catch up with our social imaginaries, political imaginaries, and bureaucratic imaginaries. So we are yet to see that how it will take place.
While this question might sound a little heavy and it's wide for interpretation, do you think our state apparatus are ready for implementing the 100-point agendas that the government has tabled?
That's the difficult part, because there's 2 ways to look at it. One from optimism side, one from a little bit of pessimism side. From the optimism side, if you will see the previous 10 to 20 years of our governance, we have a very good successful examples in Nepal on the digital evolution. Like, for example, The budget system, we have PLMBIS, in local government we have Sutra, we have CGAS, means there are a lot of technological interventions in the governance side. And I think that in South Asia we are doing quite well by implementing those agendas. On other side also, if you will see the foreign labor employment softwares, and there are many other technical interventions has taken place in Nepal. So it's not new that that this has not been imagined before. Nepal has already implemented the technical side, digital governance side, many other things, and successful implementation. But the point is that this has taken the evolution, this has taken the time, this has taken the over 10 years to do that. I'm optimistic in that sense that the government has brought the new technological reforms, digital reforms into the system. So this will take time, but at least I would like to thank the government that at least they have imagined that this has to be done. So and this is taking so this enthusiasm needs to catch up with the bureaucratic eagerness and the coordination with the three tiers of the government. If that is done, probably we will see the new evolution. So we have already have the successful examples in Nepal of the technological side, digital governance side. And because this is the younger cabinet, so they have taken it 3 steps forward. So we have 2 steps forward before, now they are taking 3 steps forward. So that's a good optimism sign. Pessimism side is that does our bureaucratic abilities will be able to navigate all these technicalities, because what you see is that we need a thick descriptions of the understanding, you know. By looking at the 100% agenda, it looks like, okay, everything is good now, that, okay, if this will be implemented, things will be changed in better in a way. But then when you see deeply, we call it in proof of the food is an eating. So until and unless this is implemented, you are not sure that how it will be navigated. So I think we should wait and watch and see how it will be evolved.
During the 2025 September uprising, it was largely centered in the capital, in urban areas. How do you think the movement resonated with youths of the Tarai Madhesh region, where the problems are different than compared to those in capital?
During the Gen Z movement, we witnessed that it is more the urban youths kind of movement. And then during the Gen Z movement, we are not sure that how it will go to the villages, cities, across Kathmandu, across the regional areas of Nepal. But when we see the election result, it looks like resonated everywhere. So our prediction that this is the only urban youth resonance during the Gen Z movement, Nepo kids, all digital tech and things like this, it has resonated in the ground quite well. So because the election result shows that, because they are winning from every constituencies almost, and now they are nearer to the 2/3 of majority. But Madhesh province problems are a bit different. We have the younger population as compared to the national average. The Madhesh population is more younger. Madhesh province is one of the most, the number wise, if you will see, the labor migrating to the Gulf and Malaysia, if you will see, the Madhesh province holds the largest share. Almost out of 4, 1 people in Nepal who migrates to the foreign country are from the Madhesh region. So the unemployment crisis is quite huge there in Madhesh. Madhesh is known for the breadbasket, but then we see the agriculture, subsistence agriculture is not now getting to the life of the people, and they want to migrate. So that's the agriculture is not attractive profession for the Madhesh. Now we see other problems also. We see education. Education wise, I mean, to give you just data that how the data of the education. We have 4 census. In 1948, in 2048, Bikram Sambat, 2058, 2068, and 2078, the recent census. Out of 10 districts who are illiterate, top 10 districts of Nepal, in 2058 census, From the Madhya province, there was, from the now the 8 district Madhya province, only one district, Rohtak, was the least educated district in Madhya province. In 2058, we have 4 districts from the Madhya province. Out of 8 Madhya province, 4 districts are listed into the most illiterate districts of Nepal. In 2068 census, 6 districts of the Madhya, out of 8, 6 districts from the Madhya province are listed into the top 10 illiterate districts. And the recent census of 2078 Bikram Sambat, we have 7 districts illiterate among the top 10 of the Nepal. So that means that from the over 4 decades, the education is being in a declining situation. Whereas if you will see if you will go further back to the history, Madhya province has been the teacher supplying province for the whole Nepal. Math teacher, science teacher are from the Madhya province. But now the Madhya province is facing the huge crisis in education. There are other problems also, unemployment, because if you will see the unemployment data, proportionately among the other provinces, huge unemployment crisis, and that is what is reflected in the migration, because we have out of 4, 1 people is from the Madhya who is migrating to the Gulf country. And then there are regional disparities that we witnessed, because if you will see the Hulaki Rajmarg, we see the concentration of the poverty very high, concentration of the violence very high. Among the youth, there is a major problem now is the drug abuses. Drug abuses cases has been increased in Madhya. So Madhya is in as compared to the Nepal's other provinces, Madhya is facing the huge crisis. And I think the new government, if you will see the electoral victories of the new government, Madhya province is probably the most benevolent for the victory, because out of 32 seats, 30 seats in a directly elected, first past the post, the Balan government has secured the seat there. So I think the Madhya province has reacted extraordinarily for the nearing two-third majority of this government. So now the Madhya province is looking very high that this government will do something significant for the Madhya province. And I told you there are many other things, and historically on a development path, Madhya province has faced the many challenges, and these challenges, now the youth cabinet is there. So Madhya is looking for the youth cabinet to deliver for them.
I just want to go back to March 5 elections. Many political heavyweights who were capital-centered, urban-centered, chose constituencies in the Tarai Madhesh region for March 5 HOR elections. Why do you think was the affinity or the fascination with Tarai Madhesh region?
Madhya Pradesh is new Uttar Pradesh of India, because if you will see, the largest seat from the Uttar Pradesh is in the India's parliament. Similarly, we have the largest seat in the Madhya, from the Madhya province to our parliaments. That's I mean, Bagmati Pradesh is also there, but then you have the difference between the Bagmati Pradesh and the Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh is the land of 6.5% of Nepal. Of the total land in Nepal, geographic land, 6.5% is Madhya Province. But the population concentration is 21%. Bagmati province is also almost 21%. So Bagmati Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, 21% of the total population of Nepal. But geographic area-wise, Madhya province is only 6.5%. That means in a population density of the Madhya province is quite huge. So that means that to do a campaign, to go and convince the electorate, you can, in a 2 hour, you can, 2 to 3 hours, you can, from one point of the province to the another point of the province, you can travel. And you can meet 21% of the population coverage. So that is why the Madhya province is the new Uttar Pradesh of Nepal.
There's a logistical perspective to it.
Yes.
You mentioned of many problems that the province is facing. Education, as you mentioned, is worsening in recent years. Let's start with education sector. What would you say are the concrete steps that the current government can do to collaborate with the province to improve the sector?
On education, this government is focused on technology heavily, but then our problem is other also. Because I am reading the 100-point agenda, I think they are in the very top tier problems that they are identifying. But I think they should also identify the problems which are rooted in a grassroots. And the problems in the grassroots are very different than the 100-point agendas. So, like take for example, in Madhya province, there's the largest children as compared to the other provinces, the maximum number of the absolute number of the children that are out of school. Forget about going to school, they are out of school. They have not seen the classrooms. So that number is huge in Madhya Pradesh. So government first challenge is to get them back to the school, those who are out of school. And this is not a technology that you cannot make some software and then you can bring those children to the school. This needs a lot of social imaginaries and political imaginaries. And this, I think I would expect this government to work on this kind of the problems also. Prevalence of the child marriage in Madhya province is almost, across the district, is almost 80 to 90%. 80 to 90%. Out of 10, almost 8 women married before the age of 20. And if you will take the breakup between 15 to 19 year age, between 10 to 15 year age, between 15 to 19 year age is even higher percentage. So child marriage means that school dropout, means that girls are not going to school. So there is a problem, male and female, but the women are facing more problem in the holding them to the school. So that's another challenge. And this is not something that you will make a software in Kathmandu and this will be done automatically. For this you need a huge social imaginary again. Take another example, third example. Even if the child goes to school, dropout rates are extremely high. As compared to other provinces, dropout rate is extremely high in Madhya province. And I told you the reason, child marriage and other issues are there. So this is the challenge again that the government has to do. This is the one problem of the political side where the government needs to do an intervention. And this intervention is certainly not going to take place from Singh-Darbar and from the digital imagination of the 100-point agenda. This is something that you have to do intervention in the ground. There is another problem. Another problem is that child, even if it goes to school and stays in school, their learning is not advocate as much as they should have in that class. Like for example, 4th class student is not able to answer you the 1 class course. 8th class student will not be able to answer the 4th class mathematics and sciences. So that means that learning gap is also huge. And again, if you will see the data of the other provinces, this learning gap is huge in Madhya province. So this is another problem. And then the problem is of the higher education also. In Madhya province, the higher education system is almost collapsed because we have the 4 constituent campuses in Tribhuvan University. And these campuses, the students are not learning anything. Our university system as a overall in Nepal is not very well. But in the Madhya province, all the higher education institutions are almost in a verge of collapse or not functioning, or I would say dysfunctional. So making it to a functional is also an issue. So I'm telling you that from the 0 to 18 year age, we need a lot of interventions. And also, major intervention is drug abuses. From the 14 year to 24 year of the youths, we see a lot of drug abuses cases also in the Madhya province. That's the another challenge that this government has to face. So I see 100-point agenda is all technical imaginaries, which is really good for the country. But these technical imaginaries, apart from these technical imaginaries, I think the groundwork, the ground realities of the provinces are different. And I hope that there also they should do an intervention.
If you were at authority, because you also worked in the Planning Commission, if you were in an authority position right now to mobilize resources, what would be the interventions that you are expecting?
When I was in a Planning Commission as a Vice Chair, we tried to do things with two approaches. One, that's my pride project that I have been telling to almost every platform, Feed the Nation campaign. Because if you will see the data of the agricultural production, Madhesh can alone feed the nation, because Madhesh is already the bread basket of Nepal. But saying the bread basket of Nepal is now not enough. I think the Madhesh should come with the confidence that we can alone, Madhesh province of 8 districts, Madhesh province can alone feed the whole country. Imagine that reality, if that can be achievable. Because if you will see the cereal crop production, sugar cane production, mango is almost 2/3. Fish is almost 56% that we contribute in Nepal. Madhesh province contributes proportion. In a cereal crop production, almost 26%. 6.5% land, but 26% is still now the contribution of the Madhesh province. In many other areas of the product, we see that thing. So Feed the Nation campaign is, we have championed in Madhesh province. We have allocated the resources, but you know, province budget is not enough, because province budget is very little of the proportion of what the national budget is. So I think the federal government should also now take this agenda, which is of the Madhesh province, to their agenda, and then allocate the resources more towards it. Madhesh province is already doing, but federal government needs to allocate more resources to do that. Second thing that we wanted to do is on education. At least we should campaign to 100% literacy in Madhesh province, but with not with numerical literacy, but we are also saying the digital literacy, because Madhesh province digital literacy is very less. I mean, overall literacy is very less, but digital literacy is of course very less there. So we are campaigning that. So allocation of resources, and you know, on education we need a huge budget, and province budget is alone not enough, and provincial budget is also not enough. Second campaign that we wanted to do in Madhesh province, and I'm telling you because I think our new government will see, and then probably can take it for considerate. Third campaign is that we give this midday meal program, right? Midday meal program, per student we give only 15 rupees. Imagine 15 rupees, can they feed the stomach? So we need to increase that amount. So for that we need to rationalize our cost in the province, in school management systems, but as well as we need to top up the budget. Because you know, there is another problem in Madhesh province, nutrition. Many people don't talk about it, or is overlooked. I mean, I don't see it in 100% agenda as well. Nutrition is the big problem in Nepal, not only in Madhesh province but across Nepal, because our child are malnutritious, our child are stunted, our child, if you will see the number, anemia number is very high. So these are the thing of social interventions on the ground. And for that, I think the government should take the considerate view, apart from the technical imagination.
I just want to carry on the midday meal quota, the 15 rupees amount you mentioned. How much would be enough?
It depends how much would be enough, because if we can centralize the kitchen system in the, I mean there are plans, you know, there are plans in a way that can reduce the cost, because we need to rationalize the cost also, because we see a lot of unrealized costs are taking place, and that is why the 15 rupees is not enough. So if we can reduce the cost and then increase a little bit of the investment, like for example, if the 15 rupees is there, I think we were adding up to the 10 rupees more to that, with the condition that we should rationalize the extra cost that is happening in the local level. If we can rationalize that cost and add a 10 rupees more, that can be a good plan for at least to provide the nutrition to the child in the school. So that is our expectation.
The Tarai region has always been the breadbasket of the country, but it also faces repeated issues like lack of fertilizers. It's been years that climate change has made impact on the agriculture sector. Where do you think the previous governments did not work on?
This has been a major complaint. Thank you for asking this question. This is rarely a debate in national channels. Fertilizer is the major issue, and especially Madhya province, because fertilizer quotas is determined from the federal, and these quotas do not do justice. I would say justice, to be very mild, do not do a justice to the Madhya province. So this quota, because the province is the breadbasket, and at least the federal government should be able to do a justice to provide the fertilizers to the Madhya province. There is another issue also. You know, the sugarcane farmers
yes.
always complain, and they have to come always to Maitighar to do a protest for their rightful demand to get the price of what they have sold to the sugar mills. This has been a problem since decades, and I hope that some major decision will take place. Even the subsidy in the sugarcane was removed, and Madhya province government has also protested that the subsidy should not be removed, because then there will be no incentive for the farmers to produce the sugarcane, and the industry will face a crisis because of they will not get a sugarcane to produce the sugar. So apart from this, as you rightly said, climate change is also a major issue. You know, the climate change debate in Nepal is always concentrated on high hills. We see the climate change is a glacier is melting is a big climate change. That's the issue. We see red panda. I'm sarcastically telling the red panda is also an issue, but that is an issue. We see other issues but people who are facing the climate change, the vulnerable people are in the Madhya province, because I have already told you, 21% of the population is in the Madhya province. Most of them are dependent on agriculture. And the vulnerability of the climate change, if you will map whole Nepal, probably the most vulnerable to the climate change are the people in the Madhya province and across the Tarai region from east to west. And climate justice has not been taken place, because you see a lot of climate funding, a lot of climate issues, a lot of climate adaptation and mitigation projects. These are not going to the Madhya province. So I think I would expect this government should do a climate justice also. And these are not in the 100-point agenda. So I'll just give you one empirical example. Recently, last year, Madhya province government has declared a drought. Followed by that, our cabinet in Kathmandu also, federal government has declared Madhya province a drought region. Imagine a drought in Madhya province. There will be unemployment, income of the people will be suppressed, there will be other effects of the production side. We have in the federal government, we had the President Chure program, that's a very pride project, but I think now that is downsized, and I think this government need to recalibrate the effort to save the Chure, because the decline of the Chure that we have seen across the decade, in a decade the decline is contributing the major problems for the Madhya province, for the water crisis, for the climate adaptation and things like this. Apart from that, land is an issue. I mean, many people do not talk about it, but the real land, I mean, if you will see, I mean, because this government has already coming up with the plan to apologize with Dalits, right? But apologizing with Dalit is not enough. You have to ensure their rights. And people who are most landless in Nepal are Dalits. How is the government give them a land? Because, you know, land is the only surety of the life, that you will live the life with dignity in Nepal. So these are also the issues of the land, climate change, Chure, and vulnerability across the region. And that should be the priority, because Madhya province is expecting a lot from this cabinet, because Madhya province has voted, I think, quite disproportionately higher than other provinces to this government, and then this Madhya province is expecting quite high. So I think the government will take a considerate view of the province.
You've championed barefoot research, getting data from the ground up. Does the current government's fast-paced and social media-driven decision-making process, if you think, leave any room for slow and meticulous research required for sustainable development?
It's a good question. Okay, data. And data is one of the things that needs to be debated. We have a National Statistical Organization and we have a lot of surveys going on. But these data need to match up with the disaggregated data from the provinces and local government. When you see the disaggregated data and when you want to do a talk or details on the provincial level or in a local level, you don't get the data. So the disaggregated data is a very important issue and that now on we should be debating about. Second thing is about the ground research, you know. When you see the 100% agenda, the 100% agenda, all agendas looks like top down to me, you know. It's not coming up from the ground. How it will be the ground evidences data, because I have already told you about the many problems where the ground up political and social problems are there. So the ground up data are not coming into the picture. So the barefoot research is about all I'm asking is to do a thick description of the thing, you know. In Nepal, we already debate, most of the debates are thinly described debates, you know. But thick description is like, if the problem is there, we should be able to dissect that problem thickly, not thinly. Thinly description is like, okay, there is a problem, surfacially you want to solve the problem and do the policy interventions, legal interventions and things like this, you know. But that doesn't solve the problem. Like obviously child marriage. Child marriage, we have laws, but I'm sure prevalence is almost 80 to 90% in the society. That means that even if you have law, you don't solve the problem in the society. So that is why the ground up imaginations of the data is also required. So I think the government should start talking not from the lens of the 100-point agendas, that this is only the TUR of the government. It is top down. Now it should come from down to top also, and then to match up with the data.
Well, this is the gateway for trade with our largest partner, India. How do you see this administration's Nepal first nationalistic rhetoric impacting the cross-border developmental project and provincial economies?
You know, the revenue of the country. If you will see the revenue, mostly our customs contributes to the larger share in our revenue in Nepal. On the trade side, we need some major reforms also, and I think I'm quite hopeful with our finance minister also, because I think he holds good knowledge about the economy, and I think he has a lot of consultation with FNCCI, CNI and other things. And the very good news is that the Rameswar Khanal's report is being implemented, and 15 laws, they are saying that they will scrap the 15 laws, and some of the organizations also is being scrapped, and so new imagination is there. But then with the trade with India, there is an issue. There is an issue of how to make our industries more viable. And you see the investment, the cross-border investments are not taking place. I think this government should be able to facilitate the trade as well as facilitate the FDI, at least with India more, because the cross-border trade and with the foreign investment, we will be able to fulfill the promise. And this government has has said that 12 lakh employment is the promise in 5 years. That 12 lakh employment is a big promise. So this promise can only be fulfilled once we will have the good economic relation, economic diplomacy with India. And previously, the economic diplomacy with India is mostly on political and other things, sometimes rhetoric also. But now I think our finance minister and also foreign minister, he holds very good knowledge about the issues of South Asia. So I think now we will be more talking about economic diplomacy. Not only economic diplomacy, we need to talk about science diplomacy, because foreign direct investment can only be possible in Nepal once there is a technology transfer, because we need the technology, right? Technology transfer is required for the investments to take place. And The foreign policy and with the Sisir Canal and economic policies with Swarnim Wagle, I think they are the two best people in the cabinet that Nepal can imagine to see them there. So I think economic diplomacy and a science diplomacy with Sisir Canal and a clear agenda of driving the growth. To drive a growth, we need an FDI. To get an FDI, the best destination for us is either India or China. And to get an FDI, Swarnim Wagle can do all the right mechanism to take place. And so I think the economic diplomacy, science diplomacy, and the economic policies should come together. And I think we should move forward. In foreign policy, we have been debating many other things, which is hardly of the concern to the people. I think this government will start diplomacy, which really concerns to the people.
What are the issues that we are talking about that does not as much concern the people?
I mean, it's always about nationalism, you know. I mean, when there is any diplomacy with a foreign country, with diplomatic relation, is always done with a mindset of the high rhetoric nationalism, you know. I mean, which is good, and sometimes nationalism is good, you know, but we have never focused on the economic diplomacy and science diplomacy, because India is a big country, China is a big country, both of them are technologically very powerful now, and I don't see any significant technological collaborations with India and China. India has IITs. I would like to see more collaborations with India's best higher education institutions and Nepalese institutions. In agriculture, like for example in agriculture, we have agriculture university. In Madhya province has agriculture university, we have agriculture. India has a very good agriculture research institute. We need to see the good collaboration between these technical institutes for the technological collaboration and to do a scientific research in Nepal. China has the good industrial research things takes place. So we should be able to collaborate with the industrial research with China and to get an FDI here. So these are the issues, not only the mere political issues that, okay, that dispute or what happens in history. I mean, we have been debating to change the 1950 treaty, right? I mean, ever since I am born, now I am almost 39, and I have been hearing that 1950 treaty will be amended from India and Nepal, but has it done? So we should move beyond that and to come to the term with the science diplomacy, technological diplomacy, economic diplomacy. These are the concerns of the people, where we will be able to provide them job, where we will be able to reimagine our economy in a way that delivers economic growth and things like this.
Lastly, Dr. Shah, the current government has floated the idea of scrapping unions in educational institutions. Do you think this step kind of takes away the only system for marginalized communities to put forth their voices?
There are two opinions. If you will see, the people will give you a very clear opinion that, okay, this trade union should be scrapped and this is a good agenda. This kind of populism, and this is good. But other side, if you will think deeply, these are not the good steps, because you know these are the product of our democratic institutions, and the democracy is all about accountability, right? And accountability takes place with the institutions, with the people's unions, you know, because people's unions are the one who will be able to bargain with the government once there is an injustice to them. So, like take for example, if there are some injustice, then government is heavy-handed on some of the issues and agendas. These unions comes forward for their cause, and then to do a logical bargain with the government and to establish some of the issues for themselves. But scrapping these institutions and trade unions, government will be too powerful and people will be too weak. So that democracy is, again, probably we will not imagine that.
Dr. Shah, thank you so much for your time and your valuable opinions.
Thank you.
Well, governance is more than just a mandate. It is a science. As Dr. Shah has highlighted, without grounded data and provincial inclusion, even the most popular reforms risk becoming mere footnotes. Now, whether the current administration listens to the barefoot reality of the Tarai will determine if this movement is a national success. Thank you, as always, for staying with us here. Our discourse continues here on NTV World. Until next time. Kathmandu has long been known as a place where natural beauty, history, culture, and spirituality come together in remarkable harmony. Rising above the western side of the valley stands Swayambhunath, one of Nepal's most revered and ancient sites. Many simply call it Swayambhu. For countless generations, it has been a sanctuary of spiritual devotion, a place where the first light of morning touches the prayer flags and where monks and devotees begin their day in meditation and worship. Swayambhu is cherished by Buddhists from all over the world, yet it holds equal significance for many Hindus. This shared reverence creates a rare sense of unity within its sacred grounds. The origins of Swayambhunath stretch back at least 2.5 millennia. Inscriptions and centuries-old statues found throughout the site testify to its long-standing presence and its profound cultural importance. The stupa itself is one of Nepal's traditional religious landmarks, crowned by the serene eyes of the Buddha that gaze out across all four directions. These eyes are regarded as a message of compassion, awareness, and peace for all beings. For Buddhists, the stupa and its symbols become a guide toward understanding the teachings of the Buddha. For Hindu visitors, the temples and images of deities within the complex hold deep spiritual meaning of their own.
In 1989, Swayambhunath was formally recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, an honor that elevated Nepal's cultural identity on the global stage and helped protect this extraordinary place for future generations. The surroundings of Swayambhu offer many places of interest. Pilgrims and travelers often find themselves captivated by the calm atmosphere and the panoramic views over the Kathmandu Valley. The architecture of the complex reflects a graceful blend of Nepali and Tibetan influences. The stupa follows ancient Nepali design traditions, while the monasteries and retreat houses that surround it reflect elements of Tibetan craftsmanship. These two styles together give Swayambhunath a distinctive character found nowhere else. Preserving Swayambhu is not only a religious responsibility, it is an effort guided equally by historical and cultural commitment. The temples, statues, and inscriptions within the complex carry stories that span centuries. The main stupa, crowned by the four compassionate eyes, remains the heart of the site. Monks gather each day to meditate and study. Within these halls, elaborate paintings and sacred sculptures portray episodes from the life of the Buddha and remind visitors of the spiritual traditions that continue to flourish here. The entrance to Swayambhunath features a gate designed to convey purity and reverence. Sculptures and painted figures on the gate reveal the guiding ideals of Buddhist philosophy. Scattered around the grounds are ancient inscriptions that preserve the history of the land. Statues of various Buddhas stand alongside images of Parvati and Shiva, creating a space where cultural diversity and shared devotion coexist with harmony. Swayambhunath is one of Nepal's most visited destinations. Its landscapes, spiritual gravity, and cultural richness draw people from around the world. Each year, Millions of visitors, both local and international, climb the steps leading toward the stupa. Their presence contributes greatly to Nepal's tourism economy and to the livelihoods of those who live and work nearby. Quake of 2015 brought significant destruction to Swayambhunath. Several structures collapsed and many priceless sculptures were damaged. The impact on the site's cultural heritage was deeply felt throughout the country. Yet, the response to this tragedy revealed the strength of the community. Local residents, government agencies, cultural experts, monks, and international organizations came together to restore the complex. The rebuilding process became more than a physical reconstruction. It became a spiritual effort guided by devotion and the hope of preserving peace and compassion for future generations. Today, visitors find improved pathways, restored shrines, and safe spaces from which to explore the site. Nearby, guest houses and small hotels offer comfortable places to stay for those who wish to spend more time experiencing the surroundings. For many, Swayambhu is not only a religious landmark but a symbol of introspection and inner calm. The peaceful environment encourages reflection. The sacred presence of the stupa gives visitors a sense of quiet strength. The eyes of the Buddha seem to guide those who come seeking balance, clarity, or a moment of stillness. As the sun rises, its light glimmers on the golden pinnacle of the stupa. And as the night falls, the view of Kathmandu from this hilltop feels almost otherworldly, as though the city below is touched by a gentle glow. Swayambhunath continues to stand as a reminder of the spiritual harmony that has shaped Nepal for centuries. It invites every visitor to pause, to breathe, and to discover a deeper part of themselves.
Dai Lake in Karnali province is a geographically remote district, yet rich with untapped potential for tourism. Stepping into Dai Lake, celebrated as a treasure trove of Khas art, culture and heritage, brings a unique sense of joy. Journey begins amid its natural beauty, leading us toward Mahabu Rural Municipality. As we leave the mid-hill highway, the terrain becomes challenging, with hilly, muddy roads demanding patience and skill. Long lines of vehicles crawl carefully along the cliffs, reflecting both the difficulty of the route and the enduring devotion of Mahabu Dham. Many travelers choose to continue on foot, advancing step by step toward their destination. Passing through Channa, Dasarathe, Okharbans, Bhavsaini, Noli, and Unipata, pilgrims ascend the slopes toward Lisne before finally reaching Mahabu Patan. Pilgrims from Dai Lake and nearby districts often arrive late at night, having begun their journey the previous day. The path to Mahabu Dham is thrilling, adventurous and breathtaking, made even more dramatic by the steady rain, drifting fog and steep inclines. Yet the journey itself feels uniquely rewarding. Mahabu Lake or Mahabu Dham, located within Mahabu Rural Municipality, is a remarkable place of natural beauty, religious significance and cultural heritage. Situated at an altitude of 4,200 meters, the area is adorned with emerald lakes, grazing flocks of sheep and goats, and a sky that dances with Himalayan mist. Every year, during Janai Purnima, a grand fair is held here, drawing thousands of devotees from across the region. Mahabu Dham's spiritual importance is deeply rooted in the ancient worship of Lord Shiva, revered here as the origin site. From Mahabu Lake, visitors can enjoy magnificent views of Api and Saipal Himal, and on clear days, even the plains of Bardia. Given its religious importance and natural splendor, Mahabu Dham holds immense potential as a religious tourism destination. Improving the rough, narrow access roads is essential for supporting this growth. Mahabu Dham is more than a pilgrimage site. It is a confluence of culture, history, faith, and nature. To truly appreciate its significance, one must visit Mahabu Lake at least once, immerse oneself in its natural beauty, and experience the serene environment that leaves a lasting impression.
This is The World This Week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. This is me, Bhavana Casey. In this edition, we bring you the stories making headlines across the globe, from geopolitical tensions and major political developments to cultural celebrations and remarkable human feats. We have all that you need. Let's begin with the latest updates on the Middle East conflict. A conditional 2-week ceasefire has been agreed between Iran and the United States, allowing shipping traffic to pass through the strategic Strait of Hormuz while broader diplomatic negotiations continue. However, implementation of the agreement remains unclear amid ongoing mistrust between both the sides. The agreement follows weeks of escalating military confrontation involving the United States, Iran, Israel, and allied regional actors, which has severely disrupted maritime traffic and heightened tensions across the Middle East. Under the terms outlined, vessels are permitted to transit the Strait of Hormuz for a limited period, although reports suggest shipping remains heavily restricted due to ongoing security concerns and unclear enforcement mechanisms. The ceasefire has also faced immediate political friction, with conflicting interpretations among mediators and involved parties over its scope and conditions, particularly regarding regional hostilities beyond Iran and the United States. Diplomatic efforts are expected to continue in the coming days, with further negotiations aimed at stabilizing the truce and addressing broader security and economic issues linked to the conflict. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has criticized Iran over its handling of the Hormuz Strait. In a series of Truth Social posts, Trump says Iran is doing a very poor job managing the passage, where 20% of the world's oil passes, and warns Tehran against charging fees to tankers going through. It came ahead of peace talks scheduled to take place in Pakistan between U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and an Iranian delegation. In other update from the region, the World Health Organization has suspended medical evacuations from Gaza after a contracted aid worker was killed, highlighting growing risk to humanitarian operations. The World Health Organization (WHO) has confirmed that it has suspended evacuations from Gaza following the killing of a worker contracted to assist in relief efforts on Monday. The incident underscores the dangers faced by humanitarian personnel operating in conflict zones. WHO's spokesperson Christian Lehmeier said they call for protection of civilians and humanitarian workers.
WHO is devastated to confirm that a person contracted to provide services to the organization in Gaza was killed yesterday during a security incident. 2 WHO staff members were present but were not injured. We extend our condolences to the family, loved ones, and colleagues of the deceased. The incident is under investigation by the relevant authorities.
He further emphasized that the safety of its staff is paramount and called on all parties to allow humanitarian operations to continue without any threat.
Following the incident, WHO suspended yesterday's medical evacuation of patients from Gaza via Rafah to Egypt. Medical evacuations will remain suspended until further notice. We're deeply grateful to our colleagues who work day and night despite the risks to ensure that the people of Gaza can access the health care they need. We call for the protection of civilians and humanitarian workers. Peace is the best medicine.
It has been warned that suspension could delay critical medical aid to vulnerable populations in Gaza. China's top diplomat has criticized U.S. pressure on North Korea, pledging to deepen ties with the nuclear-armed state during a recent visit. The remarks highlight Beijing's continued support for Pyongyang despite long-standing U.S.-led efforts to curb its nuclear program through sanctions and diplomacy. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has vowed to deepen ties with the diplomatically isolated nuclear state during the visit. The United States has for decades led efforts to dismantle North Korea's nuclear program, but summits, sanctions, and diplomatic pressures have had little impact. Beijing is North Korea's top trading partner and a vital source of diplomatic, economic, and political support. The two-day official visit by Wang, his first since 2019, comes shortly after the neighbors resumed transport links that had been halted since the COVID-19 pandemic. He told North Korea's Foreign Minister Choi Son-hui that China is willing to work with North Korea to enhance dialogue and practical cooperation at all levels and various fields and deepen people-to-people and cultural exchanges. The visit comes as the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump mounts a push to revive high-level talks with Pyongyang, eyeing a potential summit this year, potentially during Trump's visit to Beijing in May. A suspected measles outbreak in Bangladesh has caused over 100 child deaths and thousands of infections since mid-March, marking a significant spike in cases. The surge has been attributed to gaps in routine immunization program. Bangladesh has launched an emergency vaccination campaign after a fast-spreading measles outbreak is suspected of killing more than 100 people, mostly children, in what may be the country's most lethal wave of the disease in recent history. The campaign, which began on Sunday, comes amid more than 7,500 suspected measles cases since 15 March, according to Health Ministry's data. More than 900 of these cases have been confirmed, a sharp increase from 2025, when just 125 measles cases were recorded over the entire year. While Bangladesh has long vaccinated children against the highly contagious disease, the recent outbreak has exposed gaps in its program, raising the concerns. A health official said procurement issues had led to a shortage of vaccines, including for measles. Many in Bangladesh have blamed the vaccine shortages on the former interim government, which oversaw a new vaccine procurement system. Along with international partners like UNICEF and the World Health Organization (WHO), Bangladesh has launched an emergency vaccination campaign for measles and rubella, a milder disease with similar symptoms to measles. This campaign, which started on Sunday, will be rolled out across 30 sub-districts in Bangladesh and targets more than 1.2 million children between 6 months and 5 years old. Floods have swept across multiple regions worldwide since the start of 2026, raising fresh concerns over intensifying climate extremes. The surge in flooding comes as the global ocean temperatures reached near record highs in the month of March. Floods have swept across multiple regions around the world since the start of 2026, raising fresh concerns over intensifying climate extremes. The surge in flooding comes as the Copernicus Climate Change Service reported that global ocean temperatures reached near record highs in March. Scientists warned that the unusually warm oceans could signal a shift towards El Niño conditions, a climate pattern known to amplify extreme weather conditions, including heavy rainfall and flooding in several parts of the world. The development is adding pressure to an already warming planet, with experts cautioning that the combination of rising global temperatures and El Niño could increase the frequency and severity of climate-related disasters in the months ahead. Officials in several countries have reported widespread damage to infrastructure, displacement of communities, and growing humanitarian needs as floodwaters continue to rise. Climate experts say early warning systems and disaster preparedness will be critical in reducing the impact of further extreme weather events.
NASA's Orion capsule carrying the Artemis crew headed back to the Earth after completing a landmark deep space mission, marking a key step towards future lunar exploration. The Artemis second astronauts also completed a historic moon flyby, breaking records and capturing unprecedented views during their landmark deep space mission.
The Orion capsule carrying astronauts from the Artemis program returned to the Earth after completing a landmark deep space mission designed to test human space flight capabilities beyond the low Earth orbit. During the mission, the crew conducted a historic lunar flyby, traveling farther from the Earth than any other previous human mission, while gathering critical data on spacecraft performance, navigation systems, and life support operations. NASA officials say the flight successfully demonstrated key technologies required for future crewed lunar landings, marking a significant step towards sustained exploration of the Moon. The astronauts also documented unprecedented views of the Moon's far side and Earth from deep space, with the data expected to support planning for upcoming Artemis missions.
A striking phenomenon in China's Xinjiang region has drawn attention after seasonal changes exposed concentric patterns resembling Saturn's rings on the bed of a lake, creating a surreal landscape.
A mesmerizing pattern of concentric circles reflecting Saturn's iconic rings has appeared at the exposed lake bed of Bandar Blue Lake in northwest China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. The spectacular terraces rising like giant stairwells from the lake's edges were revealed by seasonal falls in water levels at the lake. Nestled beneath the snow-capped peaks of the Palmer's Plateau, the elevated and layered shoreline regularly draws visitors to marvel at the otherworldly scene whenever it appears. The natural formation is shaped by mineral deposits and sediment layers built up over time, creating its striking circular design. As water recedes, the hidden contours of the lake bed are unveiled, transforming the landscape into a surreal visual spectacle. The phenomenon is temporary, making each appearance a rare and highly anticipated event for travelers and photographers. Experts say such formations highlight the delicate balance of environmental and seasonal changes in high-altitude ecosystems.
South Korean band BTS powered through torrential rain to kick off their highly anticipated $1 billion all tour, undeterred by severe weather conditions. Fans braved the downpour as the group delivered an electrifying performance, marking a dramatic start to one of the biggest global tours of the year.
The group opened the tour with a high-energy performance, refusing to let heavy rainfall dampen the atmosphere as they delivered a tightly choreographed set to thousands of cheering fans. Despite challenging weather conditions, BTS maintained full stage production, with lighting and visuals continuing throughout the downpour, adding a dramatic edge to the opening night. Fans, many wearing raincoats and holding umbrellas, remained in the venue throughout the show, creating a striking scene as they sang along and celebrated the start of one of the most anticipated global tours of the year. The performance marked the official launch of the group's $1 billion world tour, which is expected to span multiple continents and major stadiums, drawing massive international audiences in the coming months. Security and event organizers said all safety measures were in place to manage the large crowd and ensure the show continued smoothly despite the adverse weather conditions. The performance comes shortly after the group's recent comeback last month, which marked their return to the global music scene.
Thousands of spectators gathered in Mexico City for the 183rd annual reenactment of the Passion of the Christ. It marks the first staging of the centuries-old tradition since it was recognized as intangible cultural heritage of humanity by the UNESCO.
Thousands of worshippers and spectators gathered in Iztapalapa for the 183rd annual reenactment of the Passion of Christ, marking the first staging of the centuries-old tradition since it was recognized as intangible cultural heritage of humanity by UNESCO. Actors and devotees recreated key biblical scenes across the borough's streets, drawing large crowds and highlighting the cultural and religious significance of one of Mexico's most emblematic Holy Week events. Local authorities said security and crowd management measures were intensified to accommodate the influx of participants and tourists, while organizers emphasized the historical importance of preserving the tradition amid ongoing international attention. The event featured dozens of actors portraying Jesus, Roman soldiers, and other biblical figures, with elaborate costumes and live performances along the city streets. Spectators, including international tourists, joined in the solemn processions, underscoring the global interest in the UNESCO-recognized tradition. Organizers said the recognition aims to preserve the ritual for future generations, while promoting Mexico's rich cultural heritage on the world stage.
Hanoi has emerged as a growing hub for world-class performing arts, hosting a series of high-profile international and domestic dance productions over the past month. The Vietnamese capital has welcomed acclaimed acts including the Russian State Ballet and Chinese troops while blending classical and traditional Vietnamese art forms.
Over the past month, Hanoi has hosted a series of international and domestic dance performances, putting the Vietnamese capital on the map as a destination for world-class arts. The Russian State Ballet performed 3 nights of classical ballet, including the Nutcracker and Romeo and Juliet, with tickets reportedly selling out for every show. Audiences praised the performances for bringing familiar stories to life on stage. Renowned Chinese dancer Yang Liping presented 4 performances of the Peacock, with 50 tons of props and costumes shipped from China to ensure artistic quality. Organizers highlighted the role of international standard theaters such as Ho Grum Opera in accommodating such large-scale productions. Vietnamese artists are also gaining recognition with contemporary works like the Ballet d'Eau, which blends classical ballet with traditional folk elements including Chu-Tu puppets, woven mats, and bamboo fish traps. Experts say these productions are helping Vietnamese arts reach a global audience while preserving cultural roots. Cultural industry leaders note that audiences are attending not only for entertainment but also to engage with the country's artistic and cultural growth, signaling a positive trajectory for Vietnam's cultural sector.
Thailand's historic city has kicked off its Songkran celebrations with elephants, parades, and large-scale street festivities, drawing crowds of locals and tourists to mark the Thai New Year.
10 elephants from the Ayutthaya Elephant Palace and Royal Kraal, decorated with vibrant floral patterns, led ceremonial processions through the ancient capital, becoming the centerpiece of the opening day celebrations. The festivities, scheduled from April 13 to 15, have transformed the UNESCO World Heritage City into a hub of water play, with designated city island zones allowing residents and visitors to take part in coordinated water splashing events using trucks, barrels, and street gatherings. Traditional cultural performances, including long drum parades and tuk-tuk processions, are running alongside modern attractions such as foam parties, reflecting a blend of heritage and contemporary celebration. A highlight of the program includes a 2-kilometer parade route and interactive water activities with elephants near the city pillar shrine, which organizers say aim to showcase Ayutthaya's cultural identity while boosting tourism. Local authorities have also encouraged visitors to extend their participation beyond the festivities by visiting nearby ancient temples, where religious rituals and offerings are being held to mark blessings for the Thai New Year. Officials say the celebrations are designed not only to promote tourism, but also to preserve cultural traditions, while ensuring safety measures are in place for the large crowds expected over the 3-day festival.
Thousands of people gathered along the Han River in South Korea's capital to celebrate the Spring Flower Festival as cherry blossoms reach full bloom. The annual festival in Seoul has drawn locals and tourists alike, marking the arrival of spring with vibrant floral displays and cultural festivities. Hundreds of people flocked to the Spring Flower Festival as cherry blossoms reached full bloom in South Korea's capital, marking one of the city's most popular seasonal events. The festival, held annually along the Han River, attracts both local residents and international tourists eager to witness the spectacular display of pink and white blossoms. Visitors line along the riverside paths to admire the blooming trees, take photographs, and participate in cultural activities organized for the event. Food stalls, live performances, and traditional music accompanied the scenic walks, creating a festive atmosphere that celebrates the arrival of spring. Festival attendees say that people come to see the cherry blossoms to feel the beginning of spring and get a sense of a fresh start, highlighting the symbolic importance of blossoms in Korean culture. City officials reported that security and crowd management measures were in place to ensure the safety of visitors amid the large turnout. Well, this brings us to the end of this episode of The World This Week. We hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing it to you. We shall see you again next week with a new episode. Also, do follow us on our website www.nepaltelevision.com and our social media handles as well as our YouTube channel. Till then, take care and bye-bye.
What if I told you a story of a place shrouded in mystery and steeped in stones? A place where warriors were born and raised and their path through the mountains still remain to this day. Ajirkot, Gorkha, the unbeaten kingdom.
हामी पाहुनाहरु आउनु हुँदाखेरि हामी यसरी स्वागत गर्छौं अनि अलि-अलि नाचगानहरु देखाउँछौं मेरो सिंहो नेपाल गाउँकी गोरखामा गर्व लाग्छ जन्मिएछु साथै स्वर्गमा माता नेपालकी छोरी भन्छन् गोरखाली जस्तो घाटु चुड्काहरू भन्ने चाहिँ विशेष गरी हुन्छ यहाँ
For those seeking a luxurious escape, there are stunning lodges that offer an indulgent retreat amidst the rugged beauty of this place. For the true adventurers, this place has it all. From trekking through dense forest of Pokhara trails to exploring ancient temples and learning the rich history of the region. So, what do you fancy? Are you the solo explorer, or do you prefer luxury within nature? Or perhaps you are the one who seeks to witness it all. Well, after all, life is a box of chocolates, and this place is filled with surprises. Welcome to the place where magic and reality intertwine, where the wonders of nature are both breathtaking and awe-inspiring. From the elevations of 300 meters to a towering 8,000 meters, this place will leave you mesmerized and in awe.
Culture and identity of a nation or community is deeply embedded in its craft and lifestyle. In this, specialized craft producers are major actors. Besides specialized skills and uniqueness, time adds value to such crafts. In this film, we explore two such specialized crafts, one in Kathmandu and the other in Niigata, that have played significant role in elevating their respective national culture and identity in the world's fair. The capital of Nepal, Kathmandu, is a spectacular blend of natural beauty and culture. Habitat to about 2.5 million people, the city holds a rich cultural history that dates back to the ancient times. The 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites it encompasses are evident to the fact. Swayambhunath, Bodhanath, Pashupatinath temple premises, Changu Narayan temple area, as well as the 3 Darbar squares of Kathmandu, Patan and Bhaktapur enlisted in the UNESCO Cultural World Heritage Site are not only a glimpse of its civilization, but Nepalese treasured pride. The civilization of Kathmandu that lies 1400 meters above the sea level seemingly holds a close connection with copper products since time immemorial. Historical text has it that Kathmandu in ancient time was referred to as Nepal. Sanskrit lexicographers have a synonym of tamra or copper as Nepaliklam and Nepalam. Hence, the origin of the name Nepal is assumed to have been derived from the Sanskrit word copper. In Nepal, copper has been a basic raw material to a wide range of art and crafts, including in sculpture, architecture, deity and housewares making. Thus, it has over time been an integral part of Nepali civilization and lifestyle.
इसको सुरुदेखि चाहिँ ताम्र को टुक्राहरूको व्यवहारबाट चाहिँ यसको चलनचल्ती भएको बुझिन्छ। त्यसपछि चाहिँ 6औं शताब्दीमा आएर चाहिँ यसबाट चाहिँ मुद्रा बनाउने चलन आयो। तिस्टुङको भटुवाल र पाल्चोक भन्ने दुई ठाउँमा अंशुवर्माले राखेको अभिलेखमा चाहिँ यो ताम्रभाण्ड तामाका भाँडाहरू चाहिँ सरकारको स्वीकृति बिना बाहिर लानु हुँदैन भन्ने उल्लेख आएको छ। ह्वेनसाङ चाहिँ भारतमा आएर भारतबाट चाहिँ नेपाल भएर चाहिँ चीन फर्केको बुझिन्छ। त्यो चाहिँ 643-44 ईस्वी सम्बततिर आएको बुझिन्छ। त्यो जुन कैलाशकूट भवन छ त्यो कैलाशकूट भवनबारे ह्वेनसाङले एकदमै राम्रो चाहिँ उल्लेख गरेको छ कि यो 7 तलाको थियो, यसको चाहिँ छाना चाहिँ तामाको थियो, यसको चाहिँ नेपालमा चाहिँ तामाको पैसा चाहिँ चल्तीमा छ, यहाँका मानिसहरूले भाँडाकुँडाहरू तामाको चलाउँछ, यी कुराहरू उसले चाहिँ उल्लेख गरेको छ जुन चाहिँ चाइनाको टाङ वृत्तान्तमा अथवा इतिहासमा उल्लेख गरिएको छ।
The earliest known Ripause image is Garudasana Vishnu, dated 607 CE from Changu Narayan temple in Bhaktapur. Some historical metal idols of the 6th and 7th century are remaining in private possession or in museum collections abroad. A significant consideration as evidence of copper metal craft are the idols dating back to the 11th century excavated in Makwanpur, which is a district adjoining Kathmandu. At the moment, these rare valuables are safely harbored at the Patan Darbar Square Museum. Among the 3 cities of Kathmandu Valley, Patan is comparatively popular for copper craft. Hundreds of families, especially the Newars, who are natives of this cultural city, have been preserving their ancestral legacy of manufacturing copperwares and artifacts for generations now. In Nepal, copper artifacts are made mainly through 2 techniques, either by lost waxing or ripause, which is a technique of pounding metal sheets. The Malla period between 1200 to 1482 is considered a golden era in terms of metalcraft in Nepal. An array of work dazzling in its quantity and quality was produced then, much of which survives. The popularity of Nepali artisans had reached far and wide. It was in this period that Araniko, the famous artisan, was taken to Tibet. In 1265, Emperor Kublai Khan of China, impressed with Araniko's work, invited him to the capital and got him to renovate the artifacts in the monastery there, dating back to the Song period. In 1274, Emperor Khan appointed Araniko the director of the court artisans in China. To date, artists in hundreds are committed to continue the legacy of copper craft in Nepal. Among them, some are successfully effortful to simultaneously take ahead promotion and expansion of the craft. Among such names is Rajkumar Shakya, renowned for his crafts and entrepreneurship. Shakya was born on 1966 in Patan in a family of metal craftsmen.
हाम्रो पुर्खौली अब बाजे बराजु देखि नै यही काममा लाग्नु भएको बुवाले काम गर्नु भएको जासलमा बसेर बुवासँगै बसेर खेल्दै सिक्दै काम गर्दै गर्दै परम्परागत तरिकाले नै सिकेको मैले सानो बेला सिक्दाखेरि त्यति बजार पनि थिएन यो कलाको अहिले आउँदाखेरि यो कलाको चाहिँ बजार पनि अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय जगतमा फैलिँदै गयो यसको चाहिँ उत्पादनमा पनि वृद्धि गर्नुपर्ने देखियो
Shakya's works have made a niche both in the national and international market. Passion, focus, devotion and search for new ideas is what has elevated Shakya's profile as compared to other artists. The incomparable expression of skill and creation of beauty are reflected in his works, which are beyond imagination for any ordinary artists. His widely acclaimed works of craft have been placed at various countries, with Japan, Vietnam, China, Thailand harboring his significant works. The latest is the 155 feet tall idol of Guru Padmasambhav in Bhutan. Based on repoussé, pounded sheets of copper were wrapped around iron skeleton, which was built using modern architecture. Supervised by Shakya, it took 4 years for 57 artisans to complete the idol.
2000 एक्सपो मा जर्मनमा मैले सबभन्दा ठुलो स्वयम्भूको स्टुपा बनाउने अवसर पाएँ। फेरि पछि चाहिँ 2010 मा चाइनामा पनि फेरि एक्सपो वर्ल्ड एक्सपोमा त्यहाँ पनि मैले चाहिँ ठुलो स्टुपा बनाउने र अरु कलाकृतिहरू बनाउने मौका पाएँ। त्यसमा चाहिँ अझ मैले चाहिँ हाम्रो हनुमान ढोकाको श्वेत भैरवको मुखाकृति 12 फिटको श्वेत भैरवको मुखाकृति पनि बनाउने अवसर पाएँ। त्यो पनि त्यहाँ अब चाइनामा चाहिँ एक्सपोमा प्रदर्शन गर्न पाएँ। त्यसपछि अनि चाहिँ मैले भुटानमा पद्मसम्भवको मूर्ति बनाउने पनि अवसर पाएँ।
Cultural and anthropological experts have highly evaluated Shakya's efficiency and capabilities.
त्यो 14औं शताब्दीमा जुन परम्परा थियो हाम्रो नेपालबाट अन्य देशमा गएर चाहिँ नि कलाकारहरूले आफ्नो कला प्रस्तुत गर्ने, नेपालको कलाकारितालाई त्यहाँ चाहिँ नि स्थापित गर्ने जुन काम गरेको थियो, त्यसै कामको चाहिँ नि निरन्तरताको रूपमा अहिले हामीले 20औं 21औं शताब्दीमा राजकुमार साकेजीलाई पाएको छौं। यस्तो ठुलो ठुलो ह्युज त्यो मूर्तिहरू बनाउने क्रममा चाहिँ नि त्यो मूर्तिको एउटा स्थानबाट अर्को स्थानमा सार्नु, त्यस्तै गरी त्यसलाई चाहिँ प्रोपोर्सनेट मिलाउने आदि इत्यादि टेक्निकल पनि एकदमै कठिन काम हो। अब यसलाई चाहिँ उहाँले अत्यन्तै माइन्युटली चाहिँ गर्नु हुँदो रहेछ।
To reach Shakya's stature, however, takes a lot of dedication, devotion, practice and patience. Thus, not many youth look keen in pursuing with the profession. Keeping this in mind, Shakya also conducts classes for the younger generation in a bid to hand it over to them. Most interestingly, Shakya's son is also one of his pupils and has already joined him in his business.
हेरिटेजमा नेपालको एकदम टुरिस्टहरु पनि एकदम आकर्षित भयो हेरिटेजमा हैन, त्यही भएर अब बुवा पनि यसमै लाग्नु भयो। त्यही पनि मैले नि यसमै गरौँ कि जस्तो मलाई लाग्यो। बुवा यति आर्टिस्ट भएर पनि अब मेरोमा पनि धेरै एक्सपेक्टेसन गर्छन् होला अरूले पनि, त्यही भएर अब सिक्न काम गाह्रो पनि छ, सिक्न अब टाइम पनि लाग्नेछ, धेरै सिक्न पनि त बाँकी छ।
Such noble endeavors, complemented by the engagement of the younger generation, have indeed sparked a hope that the prosperous tradition will be kept alive. For those involved in copper kitchenwares and housewares, the biggest emerging threat is the modern wares, which are both attractive and cheaper. In a bid to preserve their profession, they have now attempted to add diversity to their products based on the demand of the changing times. Meanwhile, there are others like Kalyan Krishna Tamrakar, who, although remaining in the trade, have embraced newer productions based on market needs. Tamrakar has been manufacturing artistic utensils along with internationally acclaimed singing bowls, which are mostly used in meditational purposes.
करीब 28 वर्ष भयो सिंगिङ बोल्स नयाँ सिंगिङ बोल्स बनाउने र त्यसमा अलिकति थेरापिक युजको लागि बनाएको सायद नेपालमा पहिलो नै मैले बनाए होला एउटा फिलोसफी हो र जहाँसम्म युटेन्सिल्स मैले बनाउने सन्दर्भमा पहिला यो धेरै पहिलाहरू बन्थ्यो र पछि बिस्तारै यो ब्रोन्जको युटेन्सिल्सहरू लोप हुँदै गयो अनि यो बनाउनु पाएको हुन्छ कि भनेर अनि हामीले यसलाई फेरि बनाउन थालिएको.
The market for singing bowls is mostly Europe and is used in intensive research and meditation. The sound created from the bowls vary based on the utensil itself and is proven effective for improving blood circulation and hence is used in therapy as well. Tamrakar, whose forefathers had been copper craftsmen by profession, has justifiably promoted their knowledge and skills in the wider market through entrepreneurship. Majority of his buyers are from Germany and Japan.
やはり他で買いが利かないのと、さらにその日本の求める品質にネパールの人たちが合わせてものを作ってくれるからと思います。
私のユーザーは心を癒すそういったツールを大変求めているユーザーが多いです。例えばアロマセラピーの方でヨガの方そういった方たちの要望に応えるためにネパールから輸入しようと思いました。そうすると残ってる手作りは大変高いほとんどアーティストのレベルしか残りなくなります。一般の方が使う商品はもう今やネパールでないとできないのが現状だと思っています。ですから私たちのユーザーはそれを望んでますから今私もネパールから大変たくさんの量を輸入しています。
In the Yahikoyama terrain drained by Shinano River lies Niigata city. Rice farming is predominant owing to the rich soil deposit which makes it ideal for agriculture. Besides, it is also renowned for the high-quality copper mines. During the Meiji period, copper mining flourished in the foothills. Adorned in tulip blooms, the designated city of food and flowers does not rest even amidst thick blankets of snow. Subame in Niigata is a city of metal craft and craftsmen that have thrived through prosperity and tumultuous times. At the beginning of the 1600s, lot of artisans came to exist in the Subame-Sanjo area, driven by the local administration's policy of encouraging side business. Thus originated the metal processing industry from the making of Japanese-style nails known as wakugi. The first artisans also produced household items including agricultural tools, kitchenwares and tobacco pipes. Once Japan started importing Western-style nails, the number of artisans gradually started decreasing. During the Second World War until 1945, the factories in the local area had to be mobilized to produce military goods. The 1950s was a time of mass production and mass consumption in Japan. Thus, metal processing companies grew multifold in number and size. Following the Plaza Accord that largely intervened currency markets, the factories gradually lost their business to their overseas competitors. They did not have as many orders as they once had. As a result, the local business temporarily but sharply declined.
今、燕市で鎚起銅器というふうに言われている、器といいますか、 ものがありますけれども、それは一般的に金工でいう金属を加工する技術の中の単金と言われるものの一つでして、それを全国的に同じような技法はたくさんあるんですけれども、燕市ではそれを鎚起銅器と呼んでいる。燕市の鎚起銅器というのは伝統工芸技術としてもの指定にもなっておりますし、伝統工芸品としても指定されていますが、燕市の中ではだいたい今から250年くらい前の江戸時代の後期にその技術が仙台の方から来た職人によって伝わったと言われています。
Kakuhei Tamagawa also learned the technique from the craftsman and hence founded Gyokusendo in 1816. Since then, about 300 artisans have kept alive the traditional skills. The company is currently a leader in Niigata to preserve and expand the treasured tradition of tsukidoki. It is said during the Second World War, when weapons and arms mass production had peaked, the tsukidoki industry nearly disappeared owing to shortages of copper. It was Gyokusendo's then leadership that brought back the craftsmen dispersed across the country, that helped in the revival of the industry. Gyokusendo celebrates its 200th anniversary in 2016. Today, its outlets are spread in top-notch departmental stores in high-end streets of Japan and overseas. Motoyuki Tamagawa is the 7th master of Gyokusendo. Since taking over the company at an early age, he has worked hard to promote his products and company. Tamagawa, who strongly believes in adapting to business management style with time rather than changing age-old skill patterns, introduced the trend of putting his artisans in direct contact with the customers at Gyokusendo's outlets and during exhibitions. This, he believes, not only helps customer understand the skill and hard work required to create an artifact, but also helps the artisans learn the needs and tastes of the changing times.
顔の見える商売をしようと思ったんですよね。でそこで私が考えたのが、商社を下ろさずに、直接百貨店に行って、でそこで実演販売をして、職人がお客様と会話するようなこのビジネスモデルを作ってるんですね。この玉泉の方向としては、大量というよりは本当銅器を愛用してくださる方に対してちゃんと説明して、ちゃんと愛用していただける方を対象としたやっぱり商売をしていきたいと思ってますので、だからそういうこと職人も、だから職人をどんどん増やすというわけではなく、ビジネスもどんどん大きくするわけではなくて、ちゃんと玉泉堂というブランドをね、高めていく。でお客様のその愛用する、顧客満足度もやっぱり高めていくというところがすごく大事だと思ってますね。
At the Gyokusendo factory, about 15 artisans of various ages work hard by the day to improve their skills. Working with Gyokusendo is a dream for many artisans. Gyokusendo recruits one from among hundreds applying every year. For a craftsman, it can take about 20 to 30 years to acquire proficiency to handle a set of techniques all by himself. Each stroke in tsukidoki is made in such a way such that the marks do not overlap. The proficiency of an artisan is observed in a vessel made out of one copper sheet and without any seams. For the younger artisans, it is a matter of a lot of perseverance and patience. Today, all independent tsukidoki artisans in Tsubame were once trained at Gyokusendo. Among them, a prominent name is of an artist par excellence, Master Norio Tamagawa.
今のその木目金イコール木目金っていうのがもう のりおさんのことなんですけれども、その土台となっているのはやっぱり玉泉堂で修行していた時代の追記銅器という技術が骨幹にあって根元のところにあって、でそこから、亡くなられた師匠のところに、弟子入りをしたりですとか、いろんなご苦労、修行の中でご苦労されながら、今、世界にもこう名前を馳せるようになった素晴らしい作品を作られるようになったと思います。
Master Norio Tamagawa is the pride of Niigata and is acclaimed as the living national treasure Japan. His insurmountable contribution in reviving Moku Megane through his outstanding and unique creation is beyond comparison. The Tsubame Industrial History Museum, which is a hub to compile, preserve and exhibit industrial heritages, has set up a separate section to exhibit his works. This meticulously carved artifact harbored at the museum is the master's signature art piece. The masterpiece is a delicately hammered, refined handiwork that, owing to its traditional aura and aesthetic value, has awed art lovers and consumers across the world.
いわゆる就職って言いますか、会社へ入りますね。会社従業員として入って、何年か経った時に少し外の世界も見たいと思って東京へ2年ばかり修行に行ったんです。日本の芸大っていうね、その人たちとの交流もあったんで、その作品、私の場合はずっとほら商品を作ってたわけでしょ。商品じゃない作品作りのペースっていうのをね、違うもんだなっていうのをつくづく感じましたね。
The master reminisces it took him 11 years before he could call his product a piece of art. As a young artist, he took inspiration from his seniors to aim high and excel bigger dreams.
作品作りには影響ないね。作品の場合はあくまでも個人の欲求のままに作るんですからね。世間が何を求めてるかっていうのはあんまり関係ない。っていうのは力がいる仕事なんでね、もう70過ぎてね、現役っていうのは今まであんまりいなかったんです。だから私は仕方ないからやってるけども、だから夢はないけども、もう作品をいくつ作れるか。
The traditional skill nurtured by newer skills, tools and technology has elevated the 200-year-old technique to a world-class art. Contemporary Sukidoki products include a wide range of aesthetically distinctive housewares and artifacts. Mr. Tatsushi Tamagawa, currently the chief manager at Gyokusendo, is Master Norio Tamagawa's son. He started as an artisan at Gyokusendo. Since then, much has changed. He has seen the changing business landscape, the diversity in products, which he says directly or indirectly determines the mindset and working style of an artisan.
言われたものを、早くきっちり作るっていうのがでもいい職人だと思うんですけども、最近はプラスいろいろこういう喋るものとかも今はそういうふうに、いろいろお客様に説明するとかそういうものも含まれて、全てこなしていい職人になるのかなという感じは最近はありますね。
Most fascinatingly, his son Keita, the youngest of the Tamagawas, also works under him at Gyokusendo. At 20, Keita is already an efficient beginner. Initially, driven by his grandfather's success when he joined the company, it was but a prized escape for Keita. But now, Keita is intensively working hard to attain the precision to be a better artist.
そうですね。まあどちらの方もすごい仕事に対して一生懸命で寡黙なので、そういうところを自分に取り入れられたらいいなとは思ってますね。なんか、僕のお父さんもだんだんおじいちゃんに真似してるっていうか似てきているのでなんかそうですね。おじいちゃんからはやっぱりちょっと仕事がすごいテキパキ早いので、そういうところをちょっと見習いたいなとは思いますね。はい、そういうところです。はい。
Since the beginning of human civilization, art has evolved based on culture and vice versa. Nevertheless, the demand of changing times has had a detrimental role to play in its course and form. Whether it is Niigata or Kathmandu, artisans continue to express themselves in their artworks. There is little doubt the modern-day artisans' creativity, aided by modern technology, has not only helped preserve traditional skills, but also contributed to the ascent of human civilization.
The gorgeous temple of Changu Narayan holds greater significance among the 4 Narayan temples located in different cardinal points of Kathmandu Valley. It is situated on a magnificent hilltop about 16 kilometers northeast of Kathmandu in the Bhaktapur district. Changu Narayan is known for its majestic temple complex, full of magnificent artworks in stone, metal, and wood. As an important heritage site of archaeological and cultural importance, with a history of nearly 1700 years, Changu Narayan was designated as UNESCO World Heritage Site in October 1979. By then, it also received the attention of international observers abroad. One of the first substantial epigraphic evidences of Nepalese history was found in the temple premises consecrated by Lichavi King Mandev, dating back to 464 AD. It shows that Changu Narayan was already developed as an important sacred place long before his time. There are various myths and legends regarding the origin of Changu Narayan. As detailed in the Vansavalis, Changu had already been established as a sacred site around 3rd century AD. The Ichangu inscription of Vijaya Kamdev, dated 1199 AD, informs that the temple was built by the king Haridatta Varma, happened to be 9th generations before Mandev. The time of Haridatta Varma is estimated as early as 325 AD. During Lichevi period, Changu Narayan was also known as Dola Shikhar, which refers to a mount or hill in the shape of Doli. Gopal Raj Vansavali and the Changu inscription also mention it as Changu, a Newari word that refers to swing like hill. But the evidences show that this particular place was popular as Changu Narayan from the earliest time, and the same name exists in the society till present. This two-storied temple is of basic Nepalese design with possible emphasis given to masterful ornamentation. The temple may have passed through series of restoration. The present structure was probably constructed in the 17th century. Changu Narayan is regarded as one of the masterpieces of Nepalese temple architecture.
Ruby Kumari Thakur of Shram Sanskriti Party, elected as Deputy Speaker, receives backing from Congress, UML and CPN along with RSP. President Paudel calls for people's centre governance in Nepal, highlights youth support for federal system. Parkinson's disease emerges as growing health concern in Nepal. Awareness campaigns highlight early diagnosis on World Parkinson's Day. Asian Development Bank projects Nepal's economic growth to be slow in 2026, projects fall below government's target. Islamabad on high alert ahead of US-Iran talks, Iran participation uncertain amid Israel-Lebanon ceasefire tensions. And T20 series between Nepal and UAE to be held under floodlights. Matches to be held at TU Cricket Ground in late April. Hello there, I'm Diksha Wasti. You're watching NTV World News Hour. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in details. Ruby Kumari Thakur has taken oath as the Deputy Speaker of Nepal's House of Representatives. She was administered the oath of office and secrecy by Speaker Dol Prasad Aryal at a ceremony attended by President Ramchandra Paudel and Prime Minister Balendra Shah. Thakur secured 229 votes out of 256 members present in the House of Representatives. Her appointment comes after she was elected Deputy Speaker in Friday's parliamentary voting. President Ramchandra Paudel has called for people-centered governance, urging citizens to feel that the government is accessible at their doorsteps while addressing a joint session of Nepal's federal parliament. Speaking at the first session of the newly elected House of Representatives held after the March 5th elections, President Paudel said that citizens expect transparent governance, effective service delivery, and an end to corruption and impunity.
सम्माननीय सभामुखज्यू किलो पटकको जनजीय आन्दोलनमा जीवन उत्सर्ग गर्नुहुने सम्पूर्ण शहीदहरूप्रति भावपूर्ण श्रद्धाञ्जली व्यक्त गर्दछु। आयोग राष्ट्र सेवक कर्मचारी सुरक्षा निर्वाचन मार्फत नेपालको संसदीय इतिहासमै अभूतपूर्व रूपमा युवा वर्गको प्रतिनिधित्व सहितको प्रतिनिधि सभा गठन भई नयाँ सरकारले कार्य प्रारम्भ गरिसकेको छ।
The head of the state added that Parliament should prioritize citizen-focused laws, thanked institutions for conducting successful elections, and confirmed that the current parliamentary session has been concluded on government recommendation. On World Parkinson's Day, health awareness programs in Nepal highlighted Parkinson's disease as a complex neurological disorder, often mistaken for a simple tremor condition. Officials say the disease is emerging as a growing public health concern in Nepal, with around 500 deaths reported annually. In Kathmandu and Bhaktapur, awareness events are being organized to promote early diagnosis and better management of the condition. We will see more on this in our Issue of the Day segment later in the bulletin. Nepal's economic growth is projected to slow sharply to 2.7% in fiscal year 2026, down from 4.6% this year. According to the latest outlook by the Asian Development Bank, the bank cited domestic challenges along with global pressures, including the ongoing Middle East conflict, as the key factors weighing on the country's economic outlook. Across the wider region, the ADB warned that growth in Asia and the Pacific will also moderate, with inflation expected to rise to 3.6% in 2026 before easing in 2027. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund has cautioned that oil-importing countries like Nepal are facing heightened pressure from global shocks and rising energy costs. We will delve deeper on this in our cover story segment later in the bulletin. Security has been tightened across Islamabad as Pakistan prepares to host high-stakes peace talks between Iranian and US delegations, though Tehran's participation remains uncertain. The negotiations are expected to focus on key issues, including Iran's nuclear program and trade through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has signaled it may pull out of the talks unless Israel halts ongoing strikes in Lebanon, which it says violate the current ceasefire. Despite this uncertainty, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance is scheduled to lead the American delegation, while Pakistan continues preparations for the meeting, for which it has closed many roads in the capital on Friday, as well as declaration of a two-day public holiday. Pakistan does not formally recognize Israel, a fact that could complicate its role as mediator, and has insisted the 15-day ceasefire includes Lebanon, which Israel disputes. Nepal is set to host its first ever nighttime international cricket match at the Tribhuvan University Cricket Ground, with the Cricket Association of Nepal CAN confirming the use of floodlights for an upcoming T20I series. The two-match series between Nepal and the United Arab Emirates will be played on Baishakh 7 and 8, with both games scheduled to begin at 5 p.m. CAN has described the event as historic, marking the first international cricket matches in Nepal to be played under lights, although domestic competitions have already used floodlights. The series will also serve as preparation for Nepal ahead of the ICC Cricket World Cup League, two triangular series involving Nepal, Oman and the UAE. On World Parkinson's Day, attention is being drawn to Parkinson's disease, a complex neurological disorder often mistaken for a simple tremor condition, but increasingly recognized as a growing health concern in Nepal. More on this in our issue of the day. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Now on to issue of the day. Today on World Parkinson's Day, attention is being drawn to Parkinson's disease, often mistaken as a simple tremor disorder, but in complex, a neurological condition it is. In Nepal, it is emerging as a growing public health concern, with around 500 deaths reported annually. Awareness programs held in Kathmandu aim to educate patients and promote early diagnosis and management. Rajina Rai with our local correspondent Anjir Singh Bika from Bhaktapur brings the matter.
Today marks World Parkinson's Day. On the occasion, various organizations related to Parkinson's disease organized an awareness program in Nepal's capital, Kathmandu. The program aimed to encourage those who suffer from the disease and raise awareness. Data shows that more than 10 million people worldwide are affected by Parkinson's disease. Meanwhile, Parkinson's disease in Nepal is a rising public health concern. Approximately 500 people die each year due to the condition. Parkinson's disease is a neurological disorder that gradually impairs the body's ability to control movement. Symptoms such as hand tremors, muscle stiffness, and slowed movement can worsen if left untreated. making the condition increasingly complex. During today's program, patients expressed optimism after gaining insights into the disease, its challenges, and emerging treatment technologies being developed within Nepal. Parkinson's is a non-communicable disease caused by a deficiency of dopamine in the substantia nigra of the brain. Medical experts emphasize that early diagnosis can help manage the condition through medication and lifestyle changes.
राम्रो भएको बिरामीलाई पनि अपरेसन जरुरी छैन तर औषधि खाएर एउटा अवस्थामा आएर अफ फेनोमेनन भन्छ औषधिले नदान्ने अवस्थामा पुग्यो भने त्यस्तो अवस्थामा चाहिँ हामी कहिलेकाहीँ ब्रेनमा डिप ब्रेन स्टिमुलेसन भन्छौँ तारहरू राखेर ब्रेन पेसमेकर राख्ने अपरेसन गर्छौँ कसैलाई लिजनिङ भन्छ त्यो भनेको चाहिँ हामी टाउको भित्र तार छिराएर मिलाउँछौँ जसले गर्दा उहाँको कम्पन सजिलो हुन्छ कम्पन कम हुन्छ अररोपनमा कमी हुन्छ र लाइफ चाहिँ सजिलो हुन्छ.
Although the disease cannot be completely cured, it can be effectively controlled with a healthy diet, regular exercise, yoga, and timely medication. Rosina Rai with Anjir Singh from Bhaktapur reporting for NTV World.
In this context, we asked participants at the event held on the occasion of Parkinson's Day what Parkinson's disease is and how it can be prevented. Let's find out what they have to say in today's Public Pulse segment.
जुन औषधि उहाँहरूको लागि चाहिने त्यो बिमामा परेन भनेर मेन औषधि नै पाइरहेको छैन आजकल त्यही भएर त्यो चाहिने रोग हेरेर रोगको उसको लागि चाहिने औषधिहरू सबै उपलब्ध गराइदिनु पर्यो सरकारले.
रिसर्चहरू पनि खासै नहुने र डाक्टरहरूले पनि खासै चासो नदेखाएर खोजी नगर्ने भन्दाखेरि सम्बन्धित डाक्टर कहाँ पुग्नै गाह्रो त्यो पुगेपछि पनि पहिचान गर्ने गाह्रो कतिपय डाक्टरकोमा जाँदा त मलाई त्यो उल्टो प्रेसर बढ्ने त्यस्तो पनि प्रब्लम देखियो.
राज्यको तर्फबाट चाहिँ धेरै कुरा गर्नुपर्ने बाँकी छ. पार्किन्सन्स अथवा कुनै पनि न्युरोलोजिकल डिजिजहरूमा चाहिँ पार्किन्सन्स भएका बिरामीहरूलाई गर्नुपर्ने दायित्वहरूमा चाहिँ अब भनौँ न आउँदो नयाँ सरकारले चाहिँ सरकारसँग चाहिँ धेरै अपेक्षा पनि छ पार्किन्सन्स भएका बिरामीहरूको.
सहरमा मात्र नभएर अझै गाउँमा पनि यो खालको पार्किन्सन्सको जनचेतना आवश्यक छ र त्यसलाई नै हामीले अहिले चाहिँ यो अभियान स्वरूप हामीले यो गरिरहेका छौं.
And that wraps up our issue of the day. On to the next segment now. Nepal's economy is projected to slow sharply to 2.7% in fiscal year 2026, according to the Asian Development Bank, down from 4.6% this year amid rising global and domestic pressures. The ADB and IMF warned that ongoing geopolitical tensions, especially the Middle East conflict, along with global trade uncertainties, are weighing on growth across Asia and increasing pressure on oil importing economies like Nepal. On this, we have in our cover story. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Now on to cover story. Nepal's economy is showing signs of a notable slowdown. According to the latest outlook by the Asian Development Bank, the country's growth is forecast to drop sharply to 2.7% in the fiscal year 2026, down from 4.6% this year. Experts say a mix of domestic challenges and global pressures, including the ongoing Middle East conflict, are weighing heavily on the country's economic outlook. Siksha Bhattrai takes a look.
Nepal's economic recovery is facing mounting pressure from a convergence of global risks, according to the Asian Development Bank (ADB). For a remittance-dependent economy like Nepal, these external shocks directly affect household incomes, government revenue, and overall growth momentum. ADB Nepal Country Director Arna Kashwa said growth could reach 5.0% in fiscal year 2027, assuming recent shocks ease and the Middle East situation stabilizes. But he warns that recent developments suggest disruptions may last longer than expected.
Nepal's been, as we know, business climate is still not conducive enough for increasing investment, particularly foreign direct investment that will be needed for Nepal to generate the kind of jobs that are required. Energy, of course, is a critical asset for Nepal and need to continue. There is prospect in hydropower and prospect not only to secure the energy security of Nepal, which is not completely secured.
Remittances remain a key pillar of Nepal's economy, with a large share coming from workers in Gulf Cooperation Council countries. Any prolonged instability there could reduce job opportunities and slow income flows back to Nepal. At the same time, a temporary slowdown in outbound migration is also limiting remittance growth in the short term. Higher global oil prices are increasing import costs, putting pressure on Nepal's external balance. Tourism, another major source of foreign exchange, is also facing risks, particularly during the peak spring season. ADB projects the current account surplus will widen to 7.2% of GDP in fiscal year 2026 before narrowing to a 5.3% in fiscal year 2027 as import pressures and external risks persist. ADB warns of notable downside risks, including a prolonged Middle East conflict, weak capital spending, financial sector vulnerabilities, and climate-related shocks. Overall, Nepal's outlook reflects a wider global reality. Small, open economies, especially those reliant on remittances and imported energy, remain highly exposed to geopolitical tensions and global price volatility.
Across Asia and the Pacific, economic growth is also expected to moderate. The Asian Development Bank has projected that economic growth across Asia and the Pacific will slow in the coming years, citing ongoing conflict in the Middle East and global trade uncertainties as key risks to the regional outlook. In its latest assessment, the bank said growth in developing Asia is expected to moderate as geopolitical tensions and weaker global demand continue to weigh on economic performance. It also forecast that inflation in the region could rise to 3.6% in 2026 before easing slightly in 2027, reflecting persistent price pressures linked to supply disruptions and market instability. The bank warned that sustained uncertainty in global trade and energy markets could further dampen investment and slow recovery across emerging economies in the region. The International Monetary Fund warns that oil importing countries are bearing the brunt of the crisis, placing economies like Nepal under increased pressure. The International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva has urged governments to do not harm as they confront major economic shocks triggered by the war in the Middle East. She called for targeted and disciplined fiscal responses to prevent further strain on already fragile global economies.
While this crisis is global, everybody feels it's everywhere. The low-income countries, fragile conflict-affected countries, countries with no buffers, that are oil importers, gas importers, they feel it the most. Brace for fiscal policy, restrictive, targeted, temporary actions. Make sure that you are not, basically, put it very simply, do no harm. Do no harm. A negative supply shock inevitably brings pain.
And this concludes our cover story of the day. Now the remaining updates. President Ramchandra Paudel has formally ended the current session of Nepal's federal parliament following a recommendation from the Council of Ministers. The session will conclude at midnight in accordance with Article 93(2) of the Constitution. According to a statement issued by Presidential spokesperson Ritesh Kumar Shakya, the parliamentary session was originally convened after the March elections to Nepal's House of Representatives, held in the capital Kathmandu. During this session, lawmakers elected a new Prime Minister and Speaker, while the Deputy Speaker was also elected later this evening. The closing of the session marks the end of a key phase in Nepal's post-election political transition as the country continues to consolidate its federal democratic system. Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Shah has expanded his cabinet by appointing 2 new ministers from the Russia-Cuba Party (RSP). Gauri Kumari Yadav has been appointed as Minister for Industry, Commerce and Supplies, while Ramji Yadav has taken charge as Minister for Labour, Employment and Social Security. Both ministers are sitting members of Parliament representing the Russia-Cuba Party. The newly appointed ministers have now taken the oath of office and secrecy before President Ramchandra Paudel at a ceremony held at Sheetal Nivas. The ceremony was attended by Vice President Ram Sahaya Prasad Yadav, Prime Minister Balendra Shah, Speaker Dol Prasad Aryal, Chairman of the National Assembly Narayan Prasad Dahal, along with ministers, parliamentarians, heads of constitutional bodies, senior government officials and other distinguished dignitaries. Nepal government has introduced monthly tax exemptions worth nearly 3 billion rupees to stabilize fuel prices. But consumers are yet to see relief as costs continue to rise. Despite the subsidies to the Nepal Oil Corporation (NOC), petroleum prices have increased twice in the past 2 weeks. With cooking gas also rising by 100 rupees per cylinder, the government had earlier announced a 50% cut in customs duties and infrastructure taxes on fuels, aiming to shield consumers from global price shocks. However, the move has failed to prevent inflationary pressure, with public transport fares increasing by 17% and concerns growing over the rising cost of living. Officials say the subsidies are instead helping reduce losses at the corporation, which still faces significant financial strain despite the tax relief measures. Fee-related tensions have long accompanied the start of each academic year in Nepal. But this time, the government's order has brought the issue back into sharp focus. The call to refund unauthorized charges has met with resistance from some schools. Bizata Bhandari with Pramila Bhandari takes a look.
As a new academic session begins in Nepal, a familiar issue has resurfaced: the school fees. But this year, it comes with a sharper edge, as the government orders private schools to refund fees collected under unauthorized categories, while many institutions have yet to comply. The directive has once again placed parents, schools, and regulators at odds. The government says legal action could follow if schools continue to ignore the order, signaling a tougher stance than in previous years. At the center of the dispute is what schools are allowed to charge. Private institutions can collect fees under 14 specified categories, including tuition, admission, annual charges, examinations, transport, and educational materials. Yet, complaints persist that some schools are adding extra charges beyond these approved headings. For many parents, this pattern is not new.
शिक्षा नियमावली 2059 र संस्थागत विद्यालय शुल्क निर्धारण मापदण्ड निर्देशिका 2072 सालमा बनेको थियो। त्यसमा टेकेर सधैँ त्यो गर्नु पर्थ्यो। त्यो वास्तवमा अगाडिका सरकारहरूले एक्टिभ क्रियाशील नभएको कारणबाट होला वा 2074 सालपछि संघीय शिक्षा संघीय सरकारले हेर्ने भन्दा 74 साल पछाडि स्थानीय सरकारमा गयो। हैन त्यसको संक्रमणकालीन अवस्थाको फाइदा भनौँ अथवा स्थानीय सरकारहरूले व्यवस्था गरेका कारणबाट विद्यालयहरू लावारिस जस्तो बने त्यसको परिणाम त विद्यालयहरूले आफू खुसी काम गर्न आँटे भनेर हामी भन्न सक्छौँ कतिले राम्रा पनि गरेन होला गर्नुभयो होला कतिले नराम्रो पनि गर्नुभयो
Those rules were formalized in the institutional school fee fixation guidelines introduced in 2015. The guidelines set clear limits that admission fees can only be charged once and must not exceed 1 month's tuition, while annual fees are capped at the equivalent of 2 months' tuition. Schools are also required to get fee structures approved by local authorities. Despite these provisions, enforcement has remained uneven, allowing disputes to persist year after year. Private school operators, however, caution against broad generalizations. While acknowledging concerns, they argue that many institutions follow the rules and that the actions of a few should not define the entire sector. Schools are categorized into different tiers and fee limits set accordingly. Representatives of the National Private and Boarding Schools Association of Nepal say the focus should shift toward improving the system itself.
यो बजारमा जुन खालको हल्ला छ यो अफवाहको रूपमा फैलिएको मात्रै छ तपाईले वास्तविक रूपमा हेर्नु हो भने 100 रुपैयाँदेखि फी लिएर पढाएका स्कुलहरू पनि प्रशस्त छन् इभन काठमाडौँमै पनि जम्मा महिनाको 100 रुपैयाँ लिएर पढाउने स्कुलहरू पनि निजी स्कुल छन् अनि नेपालको कुना कन्दरामा जहाँ सामुदायिक स्कुलहरूको पहुँच पुगेको छैन नेपाल सरकारको आँखा पुगेको छैन त्यहाँ पनि निजी स्कुलहरूले जनताका छोराछोरीलाई सेवा दिइरहेको अवस्था छ त्यसैले यसलाई चाहिँ विवाद ल्याउनु भन्दाखेरि पनि स्थायी रूपमा सोलुसन खोजौँ भन्ने हामी प्राइभेट स्कुलहरूका सरकारवाला संगठनहरूको माग हो र वैज्ञानिक शुल्क निर्धारण भयो भने यो सधैँका लागि टाउको दुखाइ सकिन्छ.
For now, with directives issued and compliance uncertain, the question remains whether this academic year will bring resolution or simply repeat a cycle that has become all too familiar.
Nepal's Ministry of Health and Population has directed hospitals across the country to operate outpatient departments, that is OPDs, on Sundays to ensure uninterrupted healthcare services. The request follows the government's decision to implement 2 consecutive public holidays on Saturday and Sunday as part of the revised weekly leave system. The ministry has urged hospitals to adjust staff schedules so employees receive a weekly 2-day break while maintaining service continuity. With substitute leave where necessary, provincial governments in all 7 provinces have also been asked to implement similar arrangements in provincial hospitals. The move aims to balance workers' rest rights with the need for continuous and effective public healthcare delivery. India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar has met with Nepal's Foreign Affairs Minister Sisir Khanal to discuss strengthening ties between the 2 countries. The meeting took place earlier today, focusing on expanding cooperation across sectors such as trade, connectivity and development. Minister Jaishankar congratulated Minister Khanal on his recent appointment, highlighting continued diplomatic engagement between India and Nepal. Both sides emphasized the importance of unlocking the full potential of their partnership through closer collaboration. The talks reflect ongoing efforts by the 2 neighbors to deepen political and economic relations in the South Asian region. The historic Biscuit Jatra, celebrated for 8 nights and 9 days in Bhaktapur, has officially begun with the pulling of chariots of Bhairavnath and Bhadrakali from Taumadhi Square. The festival features the traditional procession of deities from the 5-story temple area, with chariots moved between Thane and Kwani toll as part of the centuries-old ritual. Key rituals include animal sacrifice and worship at Gahiti, along with the erection and later dismantling of the symbolic 55-foot lingo at Lyosing Kyo during the New Year period. The celebrations also include various processions and deity worship across different days, featuring Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Brahmayani and Maheshwari rituals before concluding with the final chariot procession. Time now for international updates, but before that, a quick recap of the headlines. Ruby Kumari Thakur of Shram Sanskriti Party, elected as Deputy Speaker, receives backing from Congress, UML and NCP along with RSP. President Paudel calls for people-centric governance in Nepal, highlights youth support for federal system. Parkinson's disease emerges as growing health concern in Nepal. Awareness campaigns highlight early diagnosis on World Parkinson's Day. Asian Development Bank projects Nepal's economic growth to be slow in 2026, projects falls below government's target. Islamabad on high alert ahead of US-Iran talks, Iran participation uncertain amid Israel-Lebanon ceasefire tensions. And T20 series between Nepal and UAE to be held under floodlights, matches to be held at TU Cricket Ground in late April. Now time for international updates. In the meantime, Israeli forces have intensified raids across southern Lebanon, targeting multiple towns with artillery shelling, drone strikes and gunfire. Lebanon's national news agency reported heavy bombardment in areas including Qaim and Bint Jebel, while the Lebanese Minister of the Health said the death toll from recent strikes has risen to 303. With more than 1,150 injured. Among the victims are at least 110 children, women and elderly people, according to officials. The Israeli army said Thursday it was striking Hezbollah positions in Lebanon, shortly after it had warned that the militant group could expand launches of projectiles across Israel. In response, Hezbollah launched rockets toward Israel as air raid sirens sounded in northern areas, including Haifa, though no injuries were reported. The foreign ministers of China and North Korea agreed to deepen cooperation and exchanges during talks in Pyongyang, according to state media reports on Friday. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, on his first visit to North Korea in 7 years, held discussions with North Korea's Foreign Minister Cho Son-hee on regional and international issues. Both sides pledged to strengthen strategic communication and expand collaboration across various sectors, including cultural and people-to-people exchanges during the two-day official visit. China's Xinhua news agency said Wang and North Korean Foreign Minister Sun Hui discussed current international and regional issues at their meeting Thursday, but didn't specify what those issues were. Wang praised North Korea's progress despite what he described as external pressure from the United States and Western countries. The visit comes as the two countries resumed transport links following their suspension during the COVID-19 pandemic. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rybkov reaffirmed Moscow's special relationship with Cuba during a visit to Havana, where he met President Diaz-Canel. Rybkov said Russia would not abandon its presence in the Western Hemisphere, stressing strong ties with Cuba despite pressure from Washington. The talks came amid rising tensions with the United States and followed the recent arrival of the Russian oil tanker in Cuba despite U.S. fuel blockade. Discussions focused on Cuba's economic challenges, particularly its energy crisis, according to Russian state news agency TASS. The U.S. labels Cuba as a threat to U.S. national security, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who is of Cuban descent, has demanded changes to the island's leadership. Cuban President Diaz-Canel rejected any suggestion of stepping down under U.S. pressure. U.S. First Lady Melania Trump has firmly denied any connections to Jeffrey Epstein, stating at the White House that such claims need to end today. In a surprise move on Thursday, she also called for congressional hearings to support survivors of Epstein's sex trafficking network.
I never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell.
The U.S. Justice Department has released large sets of Epstein-related documents over the past year. While the president has also denied any involvement, the Epstein scandal centered on a wealthy financier accused of running a large-scale sex trafficking operation involving underage girls. The 4 astronauts of NASA's Artemis program are set to conclude their 10-day mission with a planned splashdown of the Orion capsule in the Pacific Ocean off San Diego, marking the end of landmark deep space test flight. The crew, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen, conducted a historic lunar flyby, traveling farther from Earth than any humans before while collecting critical data for future lunar missions. Officials say the mission is a key milestone toward NASA's goal of enabling crewed lunar landings under the Artemis program, as well as testing spacecraft systems required for deep space exploration. Recovery teams from NASA and the U.S. military are on standby to retrieve the astronauts after a splashdown, assist them out of the capsule, and transport them to a recovery ship.
And so we're going to come into the atmosphere at about almost 40 times the speed of sound, and then we will slow down to a 20-mile-an-hour touchdown into the Pacific. But when we touch down, the heat shield and the parachutes are going to get us nice and slow so that we touch down at about a 20-mile-an-hour splashdown in the Pacific. And we can't wait to see the dive team and the Navy that are going to come and pick us up.
Sri Lanka has marked its annual New Rice Festival with a ceremonial offering of freshly harvested grain to the Jai Sri Mahabodhi in Anuradhapura, continuing a centuries-old agricultural and religious tradition. The event, known as Aluth Sahal Mangalaya, was organized by the Ministry of Agriculture and the Department of Agrarian Services under the guidance of senior Buddhist clergy. During the ceremony, the first portion of rice from the Maha harvest, known as Noindul Shahal, was formally offered at the sacred site before being released for public consumption and distribution. Officials say the ritual reflects the close link between agriculture, faith and governance in Sri Lanka, where farmers symbolically pause the cycle of trade to express gratitude for rain, land and labor. Historically associated with state authority, the festival continues to be observed under government patronage, with participation from senior officials underscoring its enduring cultural and political significance. Now it's time for business news.
Singapore and Australia are working towards a legally binding protocol on economic resilience and essential supplies under their free trade agreement, according to their leaders on Friday. Speaking at a press conference with his Australian counterpart, Anthony Albanese, Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong said the two countries have agreed to accelerate negotiations on the protocol, which covers energy and other critical sectors. In a joint statement, arrangement, the two prime ministers agreed to keep trade flowing between the countries, with essential goods such as food continuing to move. This includes liquefied natural gas, which Australia supplies to Singapore, accounting for more than 1/3 of Singapore's LNG, and refined petroleum products like diesel, which Singapore supplies to Australia. White House staff were warned last month not to use insider information to place bets on predictions markets. The email was sent to staff on 24th of March, a day after US President Donald Trump announced a 5-day pause on his threat to attack Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure. It referred to press reports that raised concerns over government officials using non-public information to place bets on platforms like Gulshi or Polymarket. White House spokesman Davis Engel said that any implication that administration officials are engaged in such activity without evidence is baseless and irresponsible reporting. Predictions markets, which host more than $44 billion in trades, became increasingly popular in the past year in the US. Venezuela has opened its vast mineral reserves to private investment, marking a major policy shift just months after easing state control over its oil sector. The move is aimed at attracting foreign capital into one of the world's most resource-rich countries. The country holds significant deposits of gold, diamonds, bauxite, and coltan, a mineral used in electronics such as phones and laptops. Lawmakers in the National Assembly unanimously approved the mining reform on a second reading. Assembly Chief Jorge Rodriguez announced the decision, saying the legislation would help build long-term economic growth and stability. He described the reform as a key step toward future prosperity. The policy change is part of broader economic reforms linked to growing cooperation with the United States following political upheaval in the country.
Now it's time for a sports update. Cricket Association of Nepal (CAN) has announced the schedule for Nepal A team's upcoming one-day series against Oman, Scotland and the United States. The tournament will run from April 22 to May 11, with all matches scheduled to be held at the Upper Mulpani Cricket Ground. Nepal A will open its campaign against Oman on April 22, followed by a second match on April 24, before facing Scotland on May 6 and May 9. The team will also play the United States on May 7 and May 11 as part of the multi-nation series aimed at strengthening international exposure. Bagmati province has defeated Madhya province by 35 runs in Nepal's Prime Minister's Cup one-day cricket tournament. Chasing a target of 209 at the Narayani Cricket Ground in Birganj, Madhya were bowled out for 173 runs in 34.3 overs. Bagmati secured their fourth win of the tournament, led by an outstanding bowling performance from Pratish Jisi, who took 5 wickets. Rijan Dhakal claimed 2 wickets, while Sandeep Lamichhane and Subhas Khatri added 1 each. Earlier, Bagmati posted 208 runs before being all out, with Pawan Saraf leading the Madhya bowling attack with 3 wickets. Now it's time for weather update. First from Nepal, then across the world. Before wrapping up, here's a look into the top stories once again. Ruby Kumari Thakur of Shram Sanskriti Party, elected as Deputy Speaker, receives backing from Congress, EML and NCP along with RSP. President Paudel calls for people-centric governance in Nepal, highlights youth support for federal system. Parkinson's disease emerges as growing health concern in Nepal. Awareness campaigns highlight early diagnosis on World Parkinson's Day. Asian Development Bank projects Nepal's economic growth to be slow in 2026. Projects fall below government's target. Islamabad on high alert ahead of US-Iran talks. Iran participation uncertain amid Israel-Lebanon ceasefire tensions. T20 series between Nepal and UAE to be held under floodlights. Matches to be held at cricket ground in late April. That's all for the moment on NewsHour. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful time ahead.